And Brown?
Yes, sir.
What's your date of birth, Tony?
9/26/86.
What's a good phone number for you?
970-402-7798.
Is that a business work?
Personal.
Business cell?
Well, I kind of got them both on one, but
Okay.
I do have another work phone, but I don't use it. It hasn't been charged in a year. It's just easier for me to carry one phone than two.
What's your home address?
1924 Sunset Circle, Milliken. Milliken.
K-E-N.
Colorado.
What's your zip there?
80543.
Okay. All right. So, as you probably learned, we've been talking to everybody who'd known Chris and worked with Chris and whatnot. So, do you remember when you first met Chris?
Yeah. I've been here. I started here 2 years ago. August 8th was my start date.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't meet him. Oh, I met him. That wasn't Shane. That was someone else. My first day, we had a conference upstairs. I didn't meet him that day, but the second day, he actually trained me for the day because I was replacing, I can't remember his name, someone Patterson. He was leaving to a new group, so Chris took me under his wing and trained me that day. So that'd be August 9th. That was the first time I met him.
Okay. So he was working here already.
Yeah, he'd been here before me.
So was he your direct supervisor?
No, the way they had it broken down was there's operators. So you had the foreman, the field coordinator, and operators, and he was just an operator at the time.
Okay.
And I was just replacing another operator, so we would have been on the same level.
Gotcha.
But he just had more seniority.
Okay. So what was he training you to do?
Operate facilities. I didn't know the route or my area, so he would take me around and show me this is your location, this is your location, this is your location, and then he would show me how to gauge tanks because we have a list. It's on OneNote of every route, and IOC puts down comments. Hey, go check this location for this reason or this reason. So we'd go through OneNote together, and he'd be like, all right, looks like we need to gauge this tank, color cut it, see how much water's in there. So we'd go over there, and he'd be like, looks like we need to equalize this well, so let's drive over there and equalize it. And he would just show me the routine day-to-day stuff on my route. Whatever Jeff or Nancy had posted in OneNote to look at.
Okay. So he knew how to gauge tanks, and he was training you how to do that.
Yeah, he knew everything.
And just so I'm clear, gauging tanks means?
You just check the fluid height. Usually if it's at 9.5 to 10 foot, it's getting ready for a load. So you just go ahead and you get on top of the tank and you have your gauge reel. It shows you like measurements, and you put like a color cut and you send it down to the bottom of the tank and you determine how much water's on there. And you don't want to send more than 10% water to the haulers. So if you gauge it at a foot and like, oh, there's a foot water, then you go on the backside and drain the water off.
Okay.
So we gauge tanks and color cut them, see how much water, and then drain them.
Okay. All right. Do you remember about how long he trained you for?
That one day.
That was it?
Yeah, I kind of got thrown into the mix pretty fast.
Yeah, really. Had you had experience in the oil field before?
I'd worked with roustabout, but it's totally different ballpark from roustabout to operating. So I was with, I can't remember that guy's name, something Patterson, that one day, but then he moved on the next day. Like, they moved him quick. So I was with Chris for one day, and then the next day I was with Tony Kern, and then I was on my own. So I was only with Chris for one day, and he went back to his own route.
Okay. And where was your route?
The numbers change so often. Like, I think it was, we were the East 10s, and it was pretty much the county roads of 41 and 22, all the way up to county roads 28 and 39, and then on 41 all the way to 49. It was like a 16 square mile radius.
41 to 49?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from 22 to 28. When I first started, but we've shifted around quite a bit.
You said 16 square miles?
Pretty much, yeah.
How many sites were on there, do you remember?
At the time, I think I had maybe 200, and then they kind of divvy it up. They'd be like, this guy has too much, this guy doesn't have enough, so then they'll rework the routes.
And you were E10, you think?
I'm pretty sure I was E14, because the group was the E10, so it'd be to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and set, I think.
Okay.
They've changed so many times.
Right,
Well,
yeah.
now we're the 40s. Before we were the
Yeah, I heard
30s.
that.
And, yeah.
Okay. So how much interaction did you have with Chris from when you guys first met till a
Recently,
few weeks ago?
when I first started, just that second day, and he didn't really talk to me for the first probably like 6 months or so, because we would just come in, you look at your computer for an hour maybe, morning time, afternoon. Oh, you're
Go
fine.
ahead.
You guys mind if I hang and work here? Or?
We're kind of in the middle of an interview. I'm with law enforcement, so.
I'm so sorry, Shane Frost.
Hi there, Greg Zettner with CDI.
This is
If,
my crap. Can I just gather this
You
up and
do
pick
what you
and
need to
pack
do.
out?
We'll hang out.
I'm so sorry.
Nope, no problem. You kind of butted in on your territory here. So.
Okay. I squatted on this for
That's right.
because I got going. So. Let me get backed up. Problem with technology is you get so damn strung out. That,
Yeah, I know.
you know.
Yeah, I love it because I have to carry two phones. So
If
it's
somebody
so
else
important.
pokes his head in a gentleman with white hair, just tell him I moved back down to Ken's office. Okay?
Ken's office?
Ken's
Okay,
office.
yeah, we'll do that.
And I will get out of your guys' hair.
No problem.
Sorry again.
That's no problem. Thanks.
See you, Shane.
Have a good one.
You too.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where were we?
How long did I interact? How much did I interact with them?
Yeah. So you said the first 6 months.
Probably
you
like
didn't
the
really
first
talk
6
to him
months.
much.
We didn't really talk a lot. I was a
Okay.
new guy, and because we'd come into the office, you check your computer work, you check your tanks and stuff, because your connection's better here. Like check the fluid levels and you check the wells, see what's running, try and plan out your day, and then you just head out to the field, and we're by ourselves till it's time to go home. It's probably like the first 6 months, and then
So you didn't interact. Was that just a function of your job?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just you come and talk with some people you know for a little bit, but then you're out on your own.
Yeah.
And then probably last summer is when we kind of started talking more often.
Okay.
Um,
Was there a reason for that?
well, we had the incident with the house, Anadarko did, so we
That
shut
was
in all of our
explosion.
wells.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So then they pretty much just put a stop work, and our team would have more meetings and more meetings because they were changing our day-to-day operations. Like, all right, we're gonna check this now and check this procedure and this for safety. So we would see each other more, and we'd be in the office a little bit more as a team, and we would just talk a little bit more because there wasn't a whole lot for us to do except for wait for instructions and then go out and check stuff for the NTO process.
Right. What was your guys' interactions like?
We would just hang out. He was mostly a quiet guy, but when we did talk, it was mostly about family or sports. He was big into sports. We would talk about like DraftKings and did you see this on the Rockies game or did you see that player get hurt or mostly like that. But we did talk about family a little bit here and there.
What did he tell you about his family?
When we did talk about his family, it was mostly about his kids.
Okay.
He did, because I have one son, and we would compare, hey, does your kid do this, or does your kid act this way, or stuff like that.
Okay. Did he tell you about his kids much?
I want to say maybe just a handful of times when we did talk about family. Though.
Okay.
One
Do
kid.
you remember what the kids' names were?
I know there was Celeste and Belle. I honestly don't remember which one was which. I don't remember who was the older one, who's the younger one. But he would always say one of them was a fireball. She always had a lot of energy, and that one was pretty calm. Because my son has a lot of energy too, and we kind of compare. What do you do when they're going wild, or how do you settle them down, or just like day-to-day stuff like that. But nothing too like what's the word? Like really, really detailed about them, like stuff like that.
Okay. Did you ever mention Shanann?
The only time he did is when he was trying to pitch me on Thrive, because last August we were doing a weight loss competition at work. A bunch of us guys, and, hey, $20 for 3 months. Let's see who can lose the most percentage. And he's like, I'm not doing that. I can't lose any more weight than I already have. And I didn't know he was a heavier set guy early, and that's what Troy told me. But he's like, yeah. He's like, well, if you want energy, I'll sell you Thrive. And I was like, nah, that's a pyramid scheme. And he's like, it's not a pyramid scheme. I was like, well, how do you make money? He was like, well, I sell to you, and then you sell to someone else. I'm like, okay, it sounds like a pyramid scheme amount.
That's right.
But he's like, yeah, my wife, she's pretty high up there, and she, you know, like she got a free car, and kind of like incentives for me to join with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's not for me. I don't go door to door, and I can't pitch people and stuff I don't even use. But that's the only time he really talked to me. We were Facebook friends, and almost every day I would see like 5 or 6 posts of Shanann. Like Thrive.
On his Facebook?
Yeah,
or
his
on hers?
Facebook. Well, I'm not friends with her,
Okay.
but on his feed, it would be her updates of her trying to sell Thrive and promote it. And like, I did the laundry today, got the kids packed for school, lunch made, cleaned house, did like everything she'd been doing for the day. And just, I would get like 5 or 6 feeds a day through his. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, after like 5 months of this, I'm like, okay, dude, I'm gonna have to hide your posts because all my wall is just you and your wife and Thrive. And I was like, I have to hide it. But that's the only time. I never met her in person. I would just see her, and I'd watch her videos of her and the girls when she posts videos, but he didn't talk about it a whole lot outside of a couple times he mentioned Thrive.
Okay. Let's see. Did you guys ever hang out after work?
No.
On the weekends?
We
camping, go to the ball game, anything like that?
No. We tried. We would have a routine, me and Troy McCoy and Cody. We would try and get poker nights every other weekend, and we'd always invite him. And I'm like, you invite Chris? Because we're always looking for like regulars, because we want to get a regular game going, you know, guy time. And we'd always invite Chris, and he said he was going to come a few times, but he never would. So then we just stopped asking him. Like, he's not going to come, so we'd stop asking him. But Troy would always say he was busy, he couldn't get out of the house, and even on a time when his wife was away on trips, like, hey, invite Chris, maybe he'll come, and he never would hang out.
But was she away on trips frequently?
I don't know. I know it seemed like almost every other month she was doing something for Thrive, whether it was conventions or something, going away, promoting, and it seemed like they were going on a lot of trips. Her
and him, or just her usually?
Just her, because he was a guy that didn't miss work, and if he did, it was because his daughters were sick, or it was something with watching the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I only remember him being gone just recently on a trip, because I went on vacation the exact same August 1st to August 8th, and he was gone the exact same time.
Do you know where he went?
I think North Carolina, because I made a joke, because Chris was one of the smartest guys in the group, and everyone kind of leaned on him. And Troy makes that comment too, like, I'm one of the hardest workers, and he's like, when are you gonna be gone? I'm like, August 1st to the 8th, and I was like, looked at the calendar in Luke's office, and I was like, you guys are gonna have a hard time because me and Chris are going the exact same days. I'm like, good luck, guys. So that's the only time I remember him taking a trip. But other than that, I know he'd leave early because his daughters were sick, or they did have a lot of health problems. I remember that through the years.
You were saying what those health problems were?
Luke, my foreman, had said in the past, but I couldn't remember. There was a time where they were really sick, and everyone in the group pitched in $20 to get the girls like pillows, or like chairs that turn into animals or something like that. Like, it was pretty bad at one point, but they were having health issues. I knew that.
Okay. When was the last time you actually saw Chris?
That Wednesday we came back the same day. So I came back August. Can I look at the calendar? Because I remember I came back to work that Wednesday. So I was off August 1st because I went to Florida, and I came back the night of the 7th. And he came back. We both came back Wednesday, August 8th.
So yeah, August 8th was a Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw him that morning, and then he was off, I think, the next Thursday and Friday. I think because he was taking Shanann to the airport. And that was the last I saw him. That was it. I know he was at work that next Monday. That's when everything went down. And I was gonna go out to that location, but I have a new guy, Frank, with me, and I was like, Frank, we don't need to go out there because there's gonna be 5 or 6 people. I was like, there's no point in having almost the whole group out there. So I was like, let's not even go over there. So I would have seen him that morning, but I didn't go. Yeah.
That was Survey 319, is that right?
Survey 319.
That was 813.
So, that would have
So
been
you were gonna go.
Yeah, because
Why were you gonna go out there?
my new role, I'm a rover in the group. They just, because people have been moved on to different groups and they kind of got to fill positions. And myself and Robert Mary are rovers, so we don't have a set route that we need to attend to. So we kind of just go where need be. And I didn't have anything going on that morning. And I was like, well, I can go help, because that's a pumping unit out there, and I don't have a lot of pumping unit experience. So I was like, yeah, I'll go out there and watch you guys fire it up, and I'll see the steps and stuff. But then they're like, well, can we have Frank right along with you? I was like, yeah, Frank can come with me. So then I was like, well, Frank, we're not going to go way out there. There's going to be too many bodies. So Frank and I, we just found other stuff to do.
So who all was out there that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of, I know Chris is out there. I knew it's Cody's location. Cody was going. And Troy, he's one of our pumping unit experts, Troy McCoy. And I know Cody was going to go. He's temporarily out of the group, learning automation, cross-training. So they were going to have Melissa run his route for him, which she's doing right now. And Chad was taking Melissa out there. So Chad, Melissa, Cody, Chris, and Troy. Those are the 5 I know that were out there.
Okay.
So I told Frank.
And why was everybody going to 319?
Why was everybody? Because they were starting a pumping unit up for the first time. And Chad was our field coordinator at the time, so he needed to be there. Troy's our pumping unit expert. He can troubleshoot anything. It was Cody's route, and Melissa was getting ready to take over Cody's route while he cross-trained in automation.
Okay.
So we had somebody running it.
Okay. Did you know of any problems with 319?
No. I just knew that they were going out there because there was a leak on one of the lines. I think it was a line at the tank. A dump line. One of the dump lines was leaking. So that's the only problem I knew. But I've only been out there one time, and I honestly couldn't tell you how to get out there. If I just went out there myself, I would get lost.
Right.
I know kind of like the Roggen exit, and then you go east, and then you go under a bridge. But once you go under that bridge, that's where I'm just driving and guessing how to get to those wells.
Okay. Did Chris ever mention to you he was having problems with his marriage or anything like that?
No, Chris never talked to me about his marriage a whole lot. I only really called Chris to ask questions about wells. That dude had a memory like an elephant. I mean, any problem, I'd call him like, hey, I'm going to go unload this well, and what do you think? And he'd be like, what are the pressures? And I'm like, it's like 900 over 900. He's like, nope, it's too low pressures. I need to be at this. Or I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go at this facility. What's wrong? Why isn't it running? He's like, oh, hole in the coils happened 2.5 years ago. Like, he could remember every detail of every location. It was crazy. So he was the go-to guy if I didn't know what was going on. Or I'd be like, how do I get here? And he would have the exact directions just memorized. So he was pretty smart in that, but no, he didn't really talk about Shanann or their issues. He did make one comment to me when we were at the Arrowhead Farms. That's a location, getting it ready to run. And it was just me and him, and I kind of, after all this happened, you know, sometimes someone says something to you and you don't think anything of it. It's kind of like a joke, and then something else happens and you're like, wait a second, and you kind of backdate to that conversation. He did say something to me one time, and I kind of was like, what the hell? We were getting ready to get this facility up and running. It was just me and him, and that morning at the office, Troy was like, congratulations, man, as Chris walked in. No one knew what they were talking about. And then Chris was just like waving his hand like 3. Like, yeah, 3. And we're like, what? And like he's like, we're having another baby. And we was like, oh, congratulations. And that was the same day we went out to the field together. And I was like, hey man, congrats again on your baby. And he was like, yeah, thanks. And he didn't really show any emotion. And he's like, you and your wife gonna have another kid. And I was honest. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think we can. And I told him, like, we've had some troubles trying to get pregnant again, and I don't think it's in our cards. And he was like, well, do you want one? He just made like a straight up like that, well, do you want one? Implying that I can have one of his. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess if it's a girl, because we have a boy, my wife wants a girl. And he's like, well, I'll let you know. And like, that was like, I thought he was joking, because I told him we've had 3 or 4 miscarriages in a row. We can't get pregnant anymore. And I was like, sure, like jokingly, but that was kind of a weird comment he made. Now that all this has happened, thinking back to it, gets me a little emotional.
Yeah. Do you remember about when that was?
Oh, maybe 2 months ago, 2.5. I mean, I could find out because we were following this Tim's crew around, getting it ready. And a Tim's is like tank emissions management system, per state requirements. And we were getting all these locations ready. And we went to the Paragon and we went to the Arrowhead Farms that same day.
Where is Arrowhead Farms?
Arrowhead Farms is off County Road. Hold on, let me think. If you go down County Road 22, you're going 22, which is east, and then you go down 31 and 20. So 31 and 20, you're going to go east maybe 1.5 miles, and it's south into.
Okay.
It's a single tank, single set location, 3 wells. And then the Paragon, we were there the same day. That's off 37 in maybe 37, 18, south a half, east into. But we were going to these locations on the road, getting them ready for this crew to come in and work on them. And he made that comment, and I didn't think anything of it until all this happened. I was like, well, shit.
Yeah, it kind of sheds a new light on it.
Yeah, it did. And it kind of stuck at home.
Yeah, I'm
Me and my
sure.
wife do have issues with that.
Yeah, no, I can see how that'll be. That's kind of sticks in your head. I can see how that
Yeah.
would. Was there any more conversation about his kid at that point?
At that point, no. I don't really remember anything else after that. But I just remember that comment he made, and I was just joking. Sure, if it's a girl, my wife wants a girl. But the rest of it, I think it was just back to work. But I didn't want to be rude and not say congratulations,
Yeah, right.
It's a big deal. But other than that, it was mostly football, sports talk, and fantasy football talk, and just random BS, and
Yeah.
small conversations.
Did you ever talk about going to the Rockies games or Bronx game or anything like that?
I know he would only talk about it if the Steelers were coming to town because he's a big Steelers fan. He was diehard Steelers, so anytime anything happened to the Steelers, we'd give him crap because we're all Broncos fans and he was a Steelers fan. But I know that he would go to those games. And as far as going to the games, no. As Rockies, no. But he followed the sports, every team. Because I'd be like, hey, you see what happened to Arenado with that fight he got into? And he knew everything. It's like he watched sports in every day. Kept up with every topic. Because there'd be a lot of times where he would just address me with that. Hey, did you see this happen in football? I'm like, yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. And just stuff like that.
So he recently lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
is our understanding. Did you ever talk about that? What was up with that?
He
What
never.
he was doing?
I didn't know him when he was a heavier set. Because he was pretty fit when I came over here. He was pretty slim. But I know he would just go running every morning. He told me he'd run like 5 miles every morning before, well, now that you may say that, there is another thing he said. He would just say he'd go running 5 miles in the morning. But he did make a comment one time that him and Shanann would get in fights. Or she was getting ready to go on a trip. And he wanted to work out. And she was like, I want you to spend time with me and not go running and working out. And this must have been before they went to North Carolina then, because he was like, yeah, now that Shanann's gone, I can start working out again. And I was like, oh, she won't let you work out? And he's like, no, she's getting mad because I wouldn't spend time with her, and I just wanted to run in the morning. And he's like, now I can run without getting in trouble. He did make that comment. That's the same day as the baby talk.
Same day?
The same day as Arrowhead Farms. Now that you say that, he did say that. He's like, I can finally exercise without getting in trouble. But yeah, I know he would go running in the mornings and before work. But he would always eat healthy. He's always a healthy eater. Because we have monthly tailgate meetings. We usually go to Ben's Pizza. It's over in Hudson. And Luke will buy everyone their own personal pizza. And that was the only time I'd ever see him eat junk food. Other than that, he would always eat healthy. So, but I didn't know him when he was a heavier set guy. And he would jug water like crazy. He would drink like 2 gallons, 3 gallons of water a day. Never seen someone drink that much water.
Okay. Let's see. Do you know him to use any drugs or alcohol?
Nope.
You ever talk about drinking or anything like that?
Nope. Never talk about drinking or drugs. Water and Thrive. That's all I heard about him drinking. Water and Thrive.
So,
And protein.
is there like a protein shake or mix or whatever they have?
They
for
have
Thrive?
all kinds of different Thrive supplements. There's different flavors and shakes. Because I'd be like, "What's the flavor this month?" And he'd be like, "Coffee" or whatever. And it's all like you mix it in protein. That's all he would take. But as far as alcohol, I don't know.
Okay. No drugs, marijuana, anything like that you're aware of?
No.
Do you guys get tested for marijuana?
Randoms. Last like 4 months or so, they would have meetings, and they would just shut the door, and then whoever's in there, it's randoms. And if you had any, is like 0.001 on you, you're gone.
Fired.
Yeah. There's zero tolerance here. They're just trying to clean up,
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if he ever got tested. I know I didn't get in any of those meetings or tested. And I don't know anyone that got fired. I know people that got fired, but I didn't know them. But
So Monday the 13th, you were going to go to 319, but you didn't.
yes.
And the rest of the day, did your path happen to cross with Chris at all?
No, it did not. Nope. That was been Tuesday, because I had no clue. Because I was in Luke's office. Luke was at his desk. Chad was sitting there, and I was just standing there talking to Luke about some stuff, and I don't remember what I was talking about. But Chad called Chris, and I heard Chris talking to Chad on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, I was already headed out to 319." And I was like, "Dang, that's freaking early." I was like, "Why is he going out there so early?" Because he would always come into the office every day.
So it's Monday morning?
Yeah.
So let me...
I heard him on the phone talking to Chad about already being out there.
So Monday morning, you're here. You remember about what time you got here?
I'm usually at the office around 6:10.
Okay.
That's usually my walk in the door time.
And so you're in the back?
I'm in Luke's office, down the hall talking. So this is probably when I heard him on the phone.
And who's he talking to on the phone?
Chad.
Is that Chad McNeil?
Chad McNeil. Luke doesn't usually get here till 6:30, and I don't go and talk to Luke right away because if he doesn't have his energy drink, you don't want to go talk to Luke that early.
Sounds like maybe he needs a Thrive drink.
He's got a NOS in his hand every morning.
Really?
If he just sits down at his desk and anyone goes in there right away, it's like, what the hell do you want? Let me sit down for a second. So it's probably like 6:45, 6, maybe 7 when I was in the office, in Luke's office talking to him, and I heard him on the phone.
So Chad's on the phone with Chris.
Yeah.
And Chris says he's already at 319.
Yeah, he was already out in the field. That's what he said. I'm out in the field.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what location they were at the time.
So he's out in the field.
And Chad was calling him to see if he had the Canon cables. And those are cables you hook up to your truck, you can hook up to the pumping unit and jump start it. And he was seeing if he had them. And he said no. And he's like, I think Tony has them, Tony Kern. And
Who initiated that phone call, do you know?
I think Chad, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I know they were looking for the Canon cables to start up the pumping unit, to jump start it.
Okay.
And I remember saying, no, I don't have them. I think Tony has them, Tony Kern. And that was about all I remember from that phone call.
Okay. But you knew that Chris was out in the field already.
I knew he was in the field.
And that's unusual for him to be out there?
It was very unusual. Yeah. He's always in the office. He's usually like a 6:15 to 6:30 guy. He's in the office sitting next to us. Because there's usually always myself and Tim. Well, maybe it wasn't Tim. It's usually myself and someone else sitting in there, and then Chris is usually the third person to walk in. And I was like, yo, what's up? And then he fills up his jug and sits down and looks through wells and stuff. But yeah, Chris was always the third one in the group to sit down in that room with us.
Okay. Do you remember any other day since you've been with this group that he went straight to the field?
Never.
Okay.
Because he'd never do that. And we used to have this one guy in our group that would always say he's straight in the field every morning. Because we have a group me app. That's how we keep track of where everyone is. Just by, you can't GPS them, but they communicate. And he would always say, in the field, and we'd always laugh like he's not in the field. And he was the only guy that would ever do that. I'm like, he's still at home. But Chris would never go straight to the field.
Okay.
And I don't think that morning he even put it in there because I was like, where's Chris? And they're like, oh, he's in the field. And I was like, oh, okay. That's weird.
He's a operator, is that right?
Chris?
I'm sorry, he's a field. Would you say?
He would be a field coordinator
Field
now
coordinator.
Because Tony got moved over. He's now foreman, and Chris and Troy stepped up. Because at the time, Chad went to Texas to help out. So Troy and Chris, were acting field coordinators, and myself and Robbie went to Rovers.
Okay. So do field coordinators generally go out to fix wells, fix lines? Yeah, I know that Chris had pretty good mechanical knowledge. But.
Sometimes, I mean, if they did, they were with the operator. Like, if there was ever a problem, before it was Tony and Chad, they would always say, hey, let's go together, let's go fix this. So the other person, the operator, can see what's going on. But usually not just straight out to the field unless it was serious, like, hey, this needs to be done by 7 a.m. because the rig's moving on, or someone's going to be working over there. We need to get someone out there right now, but usually not. But with things being as slow as they were, like we're not turning on new facilities right now, there's not a whole lot going on, so to keep busy, some of us go out earlier than others. But no, it's not like for a field coordinator to do that. A rover, yeah, but usually not field coordinators.
Okay. So is that a field coordinator's job to go out and...
I wouldn't say it's necessarily his job, but it's more of the operator's job to go fix that stuff. If the operator doesn't know how to do it or doesn't feel comfortable, then he can have whoever, another rover or a field coordinator. Field coordinator is pretty much just to watch over the field and will help out where they're needed, but to make sure people are doing their jobs.
Okay.
And then the rovers are the freelancers. So it's like operators at the bottom, and they call the rovers first to come help them out, and then they call the coordinators to help out, and then up the list, depending on the severity of things.
When is the first time you hear about something being wrong with Chris's family? As far as Shanann and the girls missing.
Missing? So not that Monday, because I didn't see Chris. And then Tuesday, on the group meet, Luke sent out a message saying Chris will not be in today. And I didn't even question it, because sometimes something comes up, you know. And I didn't know what was going on. And Troy and myself went to a location to turn it on, to do a PSSR, pre-safety startup review on it. And we were waiting on Chad to show up. because Chad wanted to be there to go through the paperwork. And we're just sitting there on location, and I was walking over to Troy's truck, and he was in his truck on the phone, and I heard him talking to somebody, and I heard part of his conversation, and I was like, oh, I heard him say missing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to walk away, I don't want to be rude and stand there while someone's on the phone. And I walked back in my truck, and then he hung up and got out, and I walked back over there, and I didn't ask him what his phone call's about. Just stand there, and he's like, I just want to be honest with you. Excuse me. He's like, this is just between you and me, because Troy has been known to have a mouth and tell stuff he's not supposed to. But like Luke tells him something to Chad, he always tells me, and he's like, don't tell. Because I'm like, I can't tell you anything. He's like, just between you and me, Chris's family's missing. I was like, what? And like, my heart sank. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he can't find them. So that's when I found out. It was like maybe 8 o'clock on that Tuesday.
And where were you guys at?
We were at the Roland, ROLAND /Arndt location, Roland /Arndt, 28-4. And then I was like, dude, I was starting to freak out and panic. I was like, I don't even want to work today now. And he's like, it's going to hit the news. He's like, Chris said they're going to interview him for the news here pretty soon. And he's, well, who was on the, I go, well, who's on the phone then? He goes, that was Tim. Tim saw it on Facebook. Like a post came up. And I had been on Facebook for like 6 or 7 months. I just got off of it. I was just aimlessly scrolling, wasting my time. And me and my wife got off of it. I was like, no shit. So then I was like, I got back onto Facebook and started reposting it. I'm like, hey, please help find my friend's family, which I feel like an idiot for. And then I ended up deleting Facebook again once I found out the news because I didn't want to have any backlash. Because I was saying, yeah, he's a really good guy. I work with him. Please help pass this on, But it was that Tuesday. It's probably like 8 in the morning. 8:30.
Did you and Troy talk about it?
Yeah, we talked about it. And he said, between you and me, he's like, Chris and Shanann have been having some issues. I was like, really? I was like, I never would have suspected that. He's like, no, but he said Chris has been sleeping on the couch a lot. And Chris has told him that they were having some issues, but nothing serious, because Troy offered. He's like, if you want me to come to my house, place to stay, that's fine. He's like, no, it's not that bad, just arguing. And Troy's like, well, Chris said that she took her wedding ring off and left it on the counter. And I was like, oh shit. So we started speculating, Yeah, that's
What we're speculating about.
We're like, well, I go, she got so mad at him and took her ring off the counter. Maybe she just fucking left. Sorry for my language.
No, you're good.
Maybe she took off. And I was like, maybe, well, she was in North Carolina for, I don't know how long she was gone for that time. Because I know she was by herself out there for a short period, and I think he went a little bit later, something like that. I was like, maybe she was planning on leaving him. I was like, maybe she met somebody on her Thrive trip, because she would go on Thrive trips so often. I was like, good possibility. She met somebody on her Thrive trip. She came back home, knew he was going to work, and she took off. And Troy's like, well, that's the thing. They have looked at the cameras on, the doorbell and the neighbors, and they didn't see nothing. Well, I was like, well, that's a clean getaway, man. That she probably slipped out the back. And he's like, well, they didn't take any clothes or anything. He's like, not even the medicine. And I was like, well, if she's been planning this whole time, maybe she's been stashing money, Well, that's what we got from her leaving the wedding ring on the counter. And he's like, it's a $10,000 wedding ring. That's what Troy said, but I don't know. I never saw it. But so I was like, best case scenario, she left him, took the girls and left him. But that's all that we could speculate on, because we never saw that coming from him. Never. Not. I would have put anything on it saying I haven't seen 1 ounce of violence in that guy. He's always calm, he's cool, collected, super smart. I've never seen him get angry. I was like, something happened and maybe she left. And that's when I started sharing it on Facebook, please help find my friend. And then when you see his interview, and we had a meeting with the group before we knew what everything that went down. And we're like, everyone in the group said, we watched his interview, and they're like, that's Chris. That's just Chris. He's always calm. He doesn't show any emotion. If he laughs, he barely laughs, like a little snicker, you know. But we're like, we thought that was a nervous laugh, like, because he's not a big people person. If he doesn't know you, he really doesn't talk to you, unless over time he slowly starts to, you know, let you in. But when he made that little laugh on the camera, I'm like, that's just a nervous laugh. I didn't think anything of it. But, I just never would have guessed that was going to be the result.
What about this part is upsetting you so much?
I think it's the daughters. In my head, I visualize everything.
That's okay, take your time.
I have a son, and he's 5. I mean, he's a little guy. And I couldn't imagine doing that to someone. And when I picture in my head, because I know Chris, I thought I knew him. Just the image of him hurting those girls. And him putting them in those tanks. Just so 2 girls, so innocent. So it hurts me. And no one, over the last 4 years, my wife and I, we've lost 3, I can't count, it's 3 or 4 miscarriages. We can't get to 8 weeks. And there's people out there that would, you know, do anything to have a kid, another kid, and they can't. And then someone does something like this. Just take their kid's life. Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought I was over this.
That's all right.
When it happened, the news broke. I was at home with my wife, just playing video games, and my mother-in-law texted me. She goes, he admitted to it, and I freaked out. I was trying to open every news channel, and I was in wreck. I was crying because I couldn't believe it. And then the next day, all I did was cry, and they sent the whole group home Thursday and Friday. They said, you're paid, go home. And over the week, the first 2 days were the hardest, and over the week, I stopped. I thought I purged all this crying out of me. I've been following the articles and learning new details because it's so close to home. Just because I knew him, I talked to him almost every day after he knew me, and we worked together. And just the fact of thinking of him shoving his daughters in that thief hatch that it's that big. I don't even know the diameter of it, but it's just, that hurts me. You know, and people, the first day were attacking him on Facebook, and I was getting so angry. I'm like, he didn't do it, you guys don't know him. And then when it came out, I was like, my emotions is flipped. I don't know how to handle it. And I thought I'd gotten over it.
It's incomprehensible, that's for sure.
Last night I saw the video again of Shanann telling the girls they were pregnant, and the daughters were hugging her belly, and almost started crying again. It's just the daughters. That's what hurts the most, I think. I didn't know Shanann. I never met her. I just saw the video. She seemed like a nice person, but I feel bad for her and the family. Just the whole daughters and everything. It really gets me. 5-year-old and whatever their ages were. It's not fair. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay.
So when you're out on the, I forget what they call the site, art?
The rolling art?
Yeah.
With Troy?
Yeah. So you're out there and you start hearing the news.
Yeah.
And do you guys work the entire day? Does somebody call you and talk to you about it? Or?
Well, we we were talking, and then Daniel showed up, and I didn't say a word to Daniel because Troy said, between you and me, this is what's going on. Daniel showed up.
Daniel?
Daniel Barr, he's an operator. It was his location that we were trying to get turned on. But there was some locks on there from someone else, and there was a piece of equipment that needed to be installed. So we ended up not even be able to do anything on that location. And then Chad showed up, and he didn't say anything about it. Obviously, he knew, because I guess those guys knew from yesterday. Why? Because Chris went home that day early.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, actually, I was with Troy the remainder of the day. I couldn't even tell you what other locations we went to because I couldn't get it off my mind of her missing, and I was trying to follow the news, checking the news every 30 minutes, an hour to see if there was some missing persons. I was Googling missing persons Colorado, trying to find anything I could on it to try and help spread the word and help my friend find his family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember most of the rest of the day.
Okay.
But I know I was with Troy.
I think Troy mentioned that you guys went to a training at a pneumatic facility down south of Hudson, southeast of Hudson. Does that sound right?
That's the same day we went to the Acatero State 1836 to help. Melissa was out there. What are we doing there? I honestly don't remember, but I know we did have a training in that time frame. I think it was a Tim's type deal. Honestly, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember most of that rest of that day. Because I remember I kept checking my phone. I remember trying to post it and find anything to spread it.
And so let's see, that would have been Tuesday. So Tuesday after work, what do you do?
Tuesday, just go home.
Okay.
I usually just go. I don't do a whole lot.
Were you on Facebook some more?
I was scrolling
internet some more?
Facebook. Yeah, I was looking. I think by the time I got home, it was already on Facebook. A couple of Shenan's friends posted pictures of her and said, "Hey, please help find my friend." And I was sharing that, and then my friends and family were sharing it because I said, "Help my friend." And watching the news, and then that same night, I think the news came out of his interview, saying, "Look, help! I want him to come back and home." And I was just trying to follow it.
Did you talk to your wife at all about it?
Yeah,
What'd she say?
my wife didn't know Chris at all, and she knew of him because I talked to her, about all the guys I work with, and I was just like, "Hey, just try and watch out for the news. Keep me updated if you see anything." And I was telling her same thing I did with Troy. I was like, maybe this happened or this happened. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, Chris did not do it. And she watched that interview and she didn't believe what she was saying. She's like, I saw him laugh and smile, and she's like, that seems fishy. And I was like, no, that's just him. He's just an awkward person. He doesn't like talking to new people, let alone the country, the news, the state. I was like, but I can't remember was it Wednesday night that they broke the news? He confessed. I think it was Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It was like 10 o'clock Wednesday night, and that's when I didn't even go to bed till like 5 in the morning because I was crying and couldn't sleep. And we came in Thursday for a meeting with Ken and the whole group, and they brought a counselor in to help talk about it. Then they sent us home. Well, Ken actually escorted us. He got us a ride home because he's like, I don't want you guys driving. So that was pretty tough. But my wife and I, we would just keep. She sent a new article. She sent it to me. She's like, "Did you see this? And did you see that?" But she never knew him. She never met him. She only knew of him because of Thrive. I was like, he's trying to get me on Thrive, pyramid scheme, and that's all. But.
And you didn't have any contact with Chris on Wednesday or Tuesday at all?
No,
I didn't. Text him or call him or anything like that?
You know what? I was gonna call him because there was something wrong with the location. And I was like, I don't know, but I know who knows the answer. And I was talking to Luke with him, like, I know Chris knows the answer. And Luke's like, you know what, why don't you give him a call? Maybe he would like to, talk about something else. Get his mind off things. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable calling him. Yeah, that well's not running, big deal. My family's missing. I'm like, in my head, that's what I thought he was going through. I'm like, I don't want to bug him at all. He's got way more important shit going on than what's at work. So I didn't call him, or I didn't even text him.
Okay.
I wanted to, but I didn't. I don't know how to handle that stuff, I could have said I'm sorry, but I didn't want to bother him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What truck did he drive?
He drove an Anadarko truck, Ford.
Is that an F-250?
I think it's a 150. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Remember what color it was?
It was like a brown, dark brown.
Okay. And they all have GPS, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
They all have their GPS, GeoSite, which it tracks everything. It tracks how fast you're going, if you're talking on your Bluetooth while you're driving. Anytime you're talking on your Bluetooth, it tracks it, or location, and seatbelts on, and all of that stuff.
That stuff gets reviewed pretty closely, right?
As far as I know, yeah. I'm not an APC employee, so I don't know how the ins and outs of that system. My company uses a different one, Cartosite, so it's not as in depth as the GeoSite, but I'm they get graded on it monthly, because I know Luke will get records. They get graded like, yo, you got an A+, you didn't have any hard breaks or speeding or stuff like that.
But if I took my truck and I went somewhere at, I don't know, 11:30 at night,
Yeah.
that's going to show up and they're probably going to get talked to about it.
Yeah, it'll send whoever's monitoring it, I don't know, but someone's always keeping tabs on that stuff, where you're going. Yeah.
Okay. So something unusual like that is probably going to prompt an inquiry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't take your work trucks anywhere, really, if you're not working, because someone's monitoring it.
Okay. Do you know what other vehicles they had?
I know they had a Lexus just because Shanann got it for Thrive. They gave her one because she was so good, high up in sales and hitting her quotas and stuff, but that's the only other vehicle I know they had. I think that was the only vehicle they have, because at one point I asked Chris, I'm like, do you have a truck or anything? He's like, oh, there's no point. We have the one vehicle. That's what I think, if I remember correctly. This has been over a year ago. And he's like, no, we just have the one. There's no point in me needing one.
Okay.
But I know they were looking into getting a Tesla, because I guess he was hitting his goals for Thrive, but I know he didn't even sell the Thrive. Shanann was selling her portion, and she was selling his as him.
Okay.
So he was getting points too, and they were looking at another Lexus or a Tesla. He's like, yeah, I'm on pace to get either one of these vehicles for free. So I don't think he ever got it, because I never heard anything else about it. But.
Okay. All right. And you remember they were talking about any other vehicles they had?
No. Just that white Lexus. Nope.
All right. Anything we haven't talked about that you think we should?
I don't think so. I mean, I saw that new report of him might have an affair with another man. None of that ever. That surprised me. I was like, when you think the story's getting wind down, something new pops up. None of us suspected that. I mean,
as long as we're going down that road, do you know? So he allegedly had a girlfriend who worked here.
I think I'd seen them.
You think you'd seen them? Do you know when that was?
There would be this girl. Do
you know her name?
I think it was Nikki. I think her name was Nikki. a brunette. She had a pretty good body. So the guys, when we sit in this common area, I don't know if you've been through this building or not.
No.
If you go down the hall, there's a little common area. It's like 3 little white squared tables. That's where our group sits. Usually all the groups sit together throughout the building. And she would always walk by, and I would see him, like, he would always be on his laptop, and when she would walk by, he'd, like, look up a little bit and stare at him the whole time. And I didn't think anything of it, because she was a fit girl. I'm like, okay, well, she is attractive. But I did see them talking differently down the hall. Because there's a northwest entrance to the building. When you walk in, there's a little monitor TV screen, and it says oil prices, they're up. Kind of like up 2%, down, little updates. And I did see him talking to her in the hall. And they were with it, like, pretty close. Like, I don't know, like too close for my bubble, like closer than you and I are right now. They were talking, and I didn't think anything of it. Because right where they were, if you just go east a little bit, there's a gas monitor room. And that was what she did. She would make sure the gas monitors were calibrating and take care of that room. So I was like, oh, maybe he's just talking about the gas monitor. But when they said he was having an affair with the girl at work, I'm like, there's only 2 females in this office I've seen him talk to. And one of them is impossible. Isn't Nancy? She works in the OCC, but she works with all of our group. I'm like, that's out of the question. And I was like, I've seen him talk to her, and I see him staring at her every time she walks by. And the guys that say it, they know she's attractive, and she's like, and she knows she's attractive, so she's trying to get attention,
Right.
Because the fridge is in there, and she'd put her food in there, but he would always stare at her awkwardly. So when they said that there was a girlfriend or a girl involved, that was the first person that came to mind. I'm like, it's her. I know it is her. And then a couple other guys said that they knew that was her too. And then when they said that, I went to go check, because there's a parts room you can get, and her office is right there. Her nameplate was ripped off the wall, and her stuff was gone. I was like, okay, 2 and 2 together. It's got to be her.
Do you remember about when it was you saw them talking by the back door?
This might have been 5 months ago, maybe. It wasn't within all this happening. It might have been 5 months ago or so.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm like a visual person. I see things, and then when something comes up, I can go back and reflect. I'm like, oh, wow, I did see them talking in the hall pretty closely. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to some other people, because you know how something happens in the office, or it's going to spread like wildfire.
All right.
And I was talking to some other guys, and he's like, yeah, I saw them talking real close. And I was like, yeah, that's what I saw too. And I was like, it's got to be her, and she's gone now. So, but it was about 5 months ago or so, because she's been here a while, 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
But yeah.
Any other time you remember seeing them interact?
I've never seen them, other than that one time, actually talked. I've seen them like make eye contact, but like never say anything, because there's little squares, and there's 4 seats, and our group sits there, and he would never talk to her when everyone else is around. But I did see him all the way down the hall one time, and I just didn't keep walking by, and I'm not going to say, hey, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. I just saw it and just kept walking, didn't think anything of it. But I would never suspect that they were dating or anything. I honestly thought him and his wife and the family were like the perfect family. They sounded like an ideal family. Everything was good. I didn't even know they were arguing until Troy told me. But once 2:30 hits, usually all of us check out, and that's it. Like, he would make us phone calls, because as a coordinator, you can't leave until all your guys are out of the field. And he would call, hey, you almost done? Because sometimes I'd be a little late and I wouldn't check out. Or they'll say, hey, how's everybody doing? If you don't respond, he'll call, hey, are you okay? And we'll make sure you're okay and make sure you don't need help or anything. If not, it's like, all right, you want to check out? Or are you almost done? Like, yeah, I'm heading out. And then we are heading out, so he can check out. But once checkout time, we didn't really talk. We made a text once or twice later in the night, but it was like fantasy football stuff. He was going to be in our league this year, because last year I didn't know he wanted to be in it, so it's the only time we talked kind of late.
Okay. You never mentioned that Nikki was cute, or you liked her, or talked to her, or had any
He
contact with
never
her?
verbally mentioned it because there would be times where we'd talk about, hey, you see that girl? She's looking pretty good. She's cute, and he would smirk. He'd like, like he never verbally like, yeah, I like her. She's hot. He never did that. So when we found out it was her, we're like, oh my goodness, this whole time he's probably been hooking up with her, and we've just been making comments saying she's attractive and stuff like that, but he never confirmed anything, or he kept quiet.
Yeah.
But that was him. He was mostly a quiet guy. I mean, so you wouldn't think anything of it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you can't think of anything else, let me put my cell phone number on there for you.
No, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, the only thing that really did backflash me was that old "Do you want one?" comment. Like, do you want one?
Yeah.
That kind of. I don't know if it has any weight to it or anything. Maybe he was joking, but looking at everything now, maybe he didn't want to have that baby, and he was serious. But his serious was when he said it because he just found out they were having a baby, so it was relatively fresh news to him.
Was he one to joke around much? Like, did he make smart little comments or anything
He
like
would
that?
make like witty comments, but just about random things, nothing like serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was smart. He would have smart quips. Like if someone saw something, he would make a little joke. But pretty much every time you saw him, he'd just be like, "Yo, or, what's up?" And then he would just keep going about his business. And he knew he was gonna be working with you that day, and then you'd talk more to you. Sometimes like, "Hey, we need you to go check this," or they need help. But yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate you coming down and talking to me.
Mind if I scroll up again?
No, you do whatever you need.
Thank
So put my phone on silent this one.
you. Okay. Yeah, we're excited about April.
So we wanted to sit down with you again for just a few minutes, clarify some timeline stuff,
Okay.
and ask you a few more questions if you're all right with that.
Yes, sir.
So let's see, 8, 17, 18. What the fuck? Is it MCCOY?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your date of birth, Troy?
3/26/1985.
85. What's your home address?
3184 49th Avenue Court, Greeley, Colorado.
49th Avenue Court?
Yes, sir.
Kind of unusual.
Oh, man. There's so
Really
many people that
is
get lost coming to my house because there's another 49th, but it's just, I think, Avenue and not Court.
Yeah.
And it's up on the north side of town. and
Totally
up on
other
the
end.
south side of Greeley.
Yeah, right.
So,
You got the street roads, the avenue, something's.
They need to rename their streets there, sounds like.
It actually
What's the
makes
zip up
sense.
there?
80634.
80634. All right. And that number I called you on, is that a work phone?
Yes, sir, it
Do you have
is.
a personal phone?
Yeah. I don't remember it since me and my
That's
wife
fine.
changed it.
That's no
Because we're
problem.
from Kansas, so
Oh, you are?
I had that one memorized.
Where are you from, Kansas?
Elkhart,
I don't know
far
where that one is.
southwest corner.
Okay.
My number is 970-238-0358.
All right. How recent is that?
This number?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've had it for 8 months or so.
Oh, for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't remember. I can't remember my work phone number.
Yeah, no problem.
I have to have it written down in my pickup so I can give it to people that call me.
Right. So, okay, so let's cover some timeline stuff here.
Yes, sir.
So let's start with on Sunday. So Sunday would be the 12th.
Yes.
Did you talk to
No,
Chris
sir.
at all on the
I didn't
12th?
speak to him over the weekend. I seen him on Friday.
I seen him on Friday, so that was the last time you saw him before the
Monday.
work week?
Yes.
Okay,
I seen him on Friday, and he'd taken off Friday to take Shanann to the airport for Phoenix.
okay.
And then he told me he wanted me to look at his Fire Stick that he bought. I said, okay. So
Oh, like TV Fire Stick?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Amazon Fire Stick.
Sure.
So before the workday ended on Friday, he's told me that he'd meet me at the Safeway parking lot there in Fort Lupton. And he showed up in their Lexus, and Bella and CC were in the back seat. So he jumped out, gave me the Fire Stick, and right after he gave me the Fire Stick, that's whenever Cody called. Cody Roberts, the operator of the Circuit 319, and said that he thought there was a leak in the bypass line.
And that's on 319, you said?
Yes, the Circuit 319.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because that bypass line is now locked and tagged out because we done that Monday morning.
Okay. Oh, that's okay, so Bella,
Bill and CC, or
and
Celeste.
CC.
Yeah.
CC were in the back seat,
Yes, sir.
and was Shanann?
No, sir.
Was
He'd
she in the
already
front
taken
seat?
her to the airport.
You already took her there?
Yes.
Do you remember what time this was?
I'm look back through my text messages I gave you
Yeah, no worries.
because he told me he was sitting by the 5.0. There was an orange Mustang sitting in the parking lot.
Okay,
And I think it was one of the ladies that well, it looked just like the one I used to have
Okay.
because I had it red when I was telling you about that earlier.
Yeah.
So, and he's a huge Ford guy because he was a master mechanic. For
yeah, I remember you said something about that.
Sorry. Text messages.
No problem.
Chris Watts. Okay. Okay, thanks. Forward you the link. You just sent it there. Okay, right here. It's at 3:05.
Okay,
Is whenever he sent me the text message. Here, parked next to the orange 5.0.
okay.
So,
And he's driving the white Lexus?
yes, sir. And Bill and CC were both in the back. They were buckled up in their car seat. And he had pulled forward in the parking spot, and I pulled back here. And he was talking to me for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 minutes, and you could hear him hollering in there. So he got back in the Lexus, and he backed it up so they could see me. And they waved at me and everything like that.
Okay. All right. And so you have no text conversation, no phone conversation, nothing like that over the weekend, Saturday and
No,
Sunday?
sir. Nothing.
Okay. So Monday morning,
Okay.
what time do you leave to go to work?
I leave, well, I usually leave my house about 6 o'clock.
Okay. Is
I'm
that
supposed
what,
to be here about 6:30.
here at the office?
Yes.
So did you come straight to the office on?
Yes, sir, I did.
On Monday morning?
Yeah.
So 8:13.
Yeah, and I received a phone call from him Monday morning, but I couldn't answer it while I was driving. So you can see in here, it's phone call declined.
Okay. What, do you have the time
Yes,
on
sir,
that
I'll
one?
get the timestamp for you, that's what I'm looking for. Chad McNeil, no, that's Friday, Monday. Chris Watts, right here, he called me.
Does it say what time?
See, and call canceled because I was driving, because I
Okay.
can't accept that.
Yeah.
And that's 6:43 a.m.
So you got so incoming from Chris.
At 6:43. I have to drink water all the time. I have a partial put in about 1.5 years ago, and my goodness, man, you get freaking dry mouth from that
Really?
gun thing.
Okay, so incoming, but you declined it because it's on
Yes,
your
sir,
work phone and it tracks all that.
Well, my work phone is set up through my Bluetooth in my phone or my truck.
Okay.
And with that geotab, it can tell when
It's gonna
you take a
tell.
call.
Okay.
Whenever you're driving.
And you're gonna get busted for that,
Yeah.
is that right?
You would
Okay.
get slapped.
Okay,
Yeah, because that came down from Keith Nosich, and he's pretty high up in the company.
All right.
He said that we can't use them anymore.
okay.
So,
And that's when you're driving out to the site,
no, sir, that's when I was driving to work.
driving to work.
6:43.
So apparently you'd gotten to work a little bit after
Yeah, I was
6:45, is
running- well, I
that,
would have been running behind that day then.
okay. Do you remember about what time you got here?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Can we check you guys can run my geotab if that helps, whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Oh, no problem. Might need that.
Yeah.
No, but.
That's the important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right, thanks.
Okay.
All right, so you come in the office between 6:45 and 7, would that be fair?
Yeah, that would be fair.
Okay.
Because I always try to hit up the burrito guy that comes at 7:30.
Okay.
Gabriel.
So did you get a burrito that morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And he's here by 7:30?
Yes. He's usually here about 7:30 and just a little bit after.
Okay. So when you come to the office, what's your routine?
When I come to the office, I always park on the north side of the parking lot down here, where my truck is now. And I walk through those doors, I come directly in the doors, and then I go into the break room. Because that break room to the south, or the north end of the office is where all of our guys sit.
Okay.
The whole team's there,
Okay.
usually. And then Luke's office is right down the way, so I just always park on the north end.
Okay. So you come in, do you get like your assignments for the day to check on?
Well, I come
when
in,
you go
I pull up
check?
my computer,
Okay.
my work laptop, I can check Signet, whatever, the case is. Usually since I'm a lead, or field coordinator, I go in and I talk with Luke and, or talk with Chad, because Chad's also a field coordinator.
That's Chad McNeil.
Yes, sir.
So when you come in and check with those guys, what do you establish your route for the day or your routine for the day?
We discuss the
Or?
topics for the day. I mean,
Okay.
whatever a gentleman needs. I sent out an email last week on Friday night telling them that we need to start checking plungers in our wells because they're supposed to be checked quarterly, would be what Anadarko is supposed to require. So a lot of our new guys do not feel comfortable with that procedure. So, I just talked to them, see if they need any help anywhere, what was going on for that day. And Chad told me that we were going to start the Survey 1029, which is a pumping unit.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd like to have me out there that day. And we was going to test that back pressure line on the 319 to verify that there was a leak.
On 319, check what?
To verify if there was a leak on the back pressure line.
On the back pressure?
Yes, the same one that Cody called me about on Friday, sir. I told you I spoke to Cody whenever I talked to Chris.
Yeah, okay. That's when he mentioned the stain on the ground, is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yeah, the stain
Okay.
on the ground.
Yep. Okay, so there was a problem with the 319.
Okay.
Having a leak, is that correct?
Yes, there
Okay,
was.
okay.
Yeah, in the bypass line, we were able to verify that.
So the back pressure in the bypass line?
Well, I think they're one and the same. I don't know which one it is. It's the one that goes up on the top fill of the tank. Verify it, because that survey set up kind of weird because it's all older stuff. But we have logged and tagged there. It's the first line as you're walking to the stairs. Right over on your right hand side is that first line because that's where the staining was, and it's at the elbow underneath the ground is where I think the threads washed out.
Okay.
So there was oil bubbling up from there, and that's what caused the stain.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, what time do you leave here on Monday? Approximate.
Approximately, burrito guy comes at 7:30. Might have talked to the guys for like another 10 minutes, so probably 7:40. I was on the road.
Okay,
Ish.
so we call it 7:45 on the road?
Yeah, I would say so, sir.
Okay, so do you remember that day where you headed first?
My first location was going to be to head out to Survey.
So, well, okay,
The
do you
Survey
remember
319.
the 319 or the 1029?
No, it was a 319 because they were testing that bypass line because I had the call from Chris here. Let me verify. That was at 6:43 when I told you about it. And then I talked to Chad McNeil. And then after that, I talked to Chris again at 7:40 a.m. incoming call because I just left the office.
So 7:40 a.m. Was it another call from Chris?
Yeah, it was another call from Chris. So by
Okay.
7:40, whenever I pulled over to take this phone call, I believe I was at the intersection of Old County Road 37 and I think it's 18 right there where the Hell Theirs is.
So 37 and 18?
Yes, I had to pull over to the side of the road and park right because they're building a new construction there.
Okay.
The Gracie horizontals are going in, so the Hell Theirs is the old location that held that lease. So I just pulled off the road right there to be able to take the call.
How far is that from here?
How far is that from the office?
Yeah. I'm sorry, how far, where you took that call, how far is that from here?
From the 319?
No, from here.
From the office?
From the office, yeah.
Okay, I don't know, you just go right down to 22, you turn on 22, so I'd say about maybe 10 minutes. So maybe I left right after the burrito,
Okay.
so. I mean, we can pull up my geotab, guys, that way I'm not, over the timeline.
So what do you and Chris talk about?
What's going on out in the field? Because he told me he was at the Survey 319, and then he was gonna test the bypass line. I said,
Okay.
okay, I'll be out there in just a minute to be able to help you, but, I mean, of course, I'm at County Road 52 and 37. So that's gonna take me a while to get out to Survey.
How long would it take you to get to Survey 319 from where you stopped to take this phone call?
From where I stopped to take the phone call, we gotta get back on County Road 52, head all the way to Hudson, then we jump on I-76, just like Luke took you guys out to Survey. So, probably about another 40 minutes to be able to get there with drive time.
Okay.
So that's why I was telling you the other day, I thought I arrived on location about 8:30
Okay.
to 9,
So-
somewhere in that ballpark.
So if you got that phone call at 7:40, how long did you guys talk? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was
Does it
2
say?
minutes.
2 minutes? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because he asked me where I was at, and I told him I pulled over to take his phone call at the hell got theirs. And then he told me he was at the Survey 319, and I said, I'll be out there in a minute, because Chad was going to have me come out to that 1029 anyway.
Okay.
So I told him I'd head to that 319.
Okay. Was Chris scheduled to go to 319 that morning?
He told me on Friday, whenever we spoke with Cody, because he was right there, because I took the call on Bluetooth because I was parked in the parking lot. Whenever he found out about the leak, he said, I'll go out and look at that thing first thing Monday morning.
Chris said he was going to go out first thing Monday morning.
First thing Monday morning.
And take a look at the 319.
Yes, sir. To try to verify that, whether or not that line was leaking or not. And I believe he called Cody, and when I talked to Cody, he called Cody on Friday or Sunday at 5 p.m. and told him that he was going to head out to Survey first thing Monday morning.
Okay. So the fact that he was there already and calling you about the 319 was no surprise.
No, I just used it, telling me that, yeah, he was out on location and everything. I said, okay, I'll be out there in a little bit. That was it.
Right. And so it took you approximately 40 minutes to drive out there.
Yeah,
So
I would
now
say-
we're probably, 8:40, 8:30, somewhere in that range?
8:30, 8:40.
Okay. So when you get out there, who's out there when you get there?
When I arrive on location, Chris is parked by the wellheads,
Okay.
or the one wellhead of that location.
Yep.
Then we have Chad McNeil.
When you say he's parked by the wellhead, where is he?
Okay.
here-
You guys have a picture of location?
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can show you exactly where his truck was parked, because his truck was parked where the headlights were facing toward the wellhead. Okay, his truck was parked right here.
You're gonna
And
keep
his headlights,
draw
yeah.
his car on there for me.
You want me to try to draw a car?
That is just a box.
Okay, a box. I'm like, I didn't know I was gonna be testing on my drawing
Yeah, right.
skills. And his
So
truck
which way
was
is he?
parked right here.
Which way is he facing?
The headlights of the pickup are facing toward the wellhead.
Okay, so let's see. So if I do this and say that his truck is pointed that way.
Yeah, well, more of an angle where it's pointed directly at the wellhead.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's exactly, it was pointed, his headlights were pointed directly at the wellhead.
Okay. All right. And who else is there?
Melissa Parrish and Chad McNeil.
And where are they?
They are parked right here on location, sir.
Just on the other side of
Yes,
the
with their
wellhead there.
trucks facing-
Kind of where we're parked here.
Yeah, their trucks were facing toward the exit. Like
Okay.
they pulled in and kind of circled and parked right here. And I parked right over here.
Okay.
Are those typical spots to park?
Yeah, I mean, I was just pulling up so we're not in any way, because we're supposed to pull up where you don't have to back or anything like that. So I usually try to pull around or pull back far enough where I know that if there's a truck parked over here, I can pull around and get away, so I don't have to
Okay.
have anybody move their vehicles or back up, because if they back up, then that sends a designation.
Okay. Was that a usual place for somebody to park where Chris parked?
Now that I think about it, it is unusual.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you're gonna test the bypass line, to me, it would make
Where
more
is that
sense.
bypass line?
Okay, the bypass line is coming off your separator, or I thought that, if I'm not mistaken, sir, I think the bypass line and the back pressure line are tied in, one and the same.
Okay.
And the back pressure line comes off from the front of the doghouse on the separator. And then the back pressure line is back here by the flow line, where it comes in at the header of the separator, where the gas and the oil enter the separator.
Okay.
And those lines run directly underneath and then come right back over here to the edge of the tank, where both of those lines come up and on top of the tank.
And that leak was in here, correct?
Yes, sir. It was
Okay.
right there by the stairs, right as you go up
Okay.
the catwalk. So to me, I'm lazy. If I pull up on location, I would pull up over in here somewhere. I would have took this circle right here and stopped right here in order to be closer to the separator and everything to be able to test that bypass line.
Okay. So by him parking here, he kind of blocks this.
Yeah,
Access.
nobody could circle around the wellhead.
Okay. Is it normal for somebody to park in that fashion?
No, well, I mean, now that I think what's all's happened, no, but I mean, at first it didn't even, flag anything for me, but that's where his truck was parked.
Okay.
So, I mean, to me, no, if you're gonna go out there and test the bypass line and that's all you had to do, then I would've parked over here to be able to be closer to this and this.
Okay. Plus, I'd imagine you have to get some tools out of your truck.
Yeah, crescent wrench, whatever
Do
you
whatever.
gotta do to be able to pressure up the vessel.
Okay.
What tools did he have out?
Whenever I got there, everybody carries a crescent wrench in their back pocket. Whenever I arrived on location, he used his shovel to dig out the hole right there at the bypass line. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I got there, they'd already verified that the bypass line or back pressure line, whichever one that is, failed, and that it was leaking underneath ground because you could see like a little bitty puddle right there. And Chad McNeil went and got his lockout tag out. He put it on the bypass line, and I think they did the bypass line at the separator to make sure it was locked out in both directions, so pressure couldn't get in there and feed any more up, so we wouldn't have any further contamination. And then after that, Chad and Melissa, they pulled away since I parked over here with Chris, and Chris had went back to his truck to check his phone. So I grabbed his shovel from right here and I walked it back over to his pickup and handed it to him. And he said, no, there's still, since that stain's still there and the dirt's already stained, we're going to put that back in there. So then he filled back in the hole, and then he came back over to the pickup. And then after that, he left first because I told him I grabbed the gate. So he got out of here, went through, and then I followed behind him and I closed the gate behind me.
Okay. So, when you get there,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, let me back up.
Yeah, whatever you need.
So you get there, Chris is parked here.
Yes, sir.
And say, who else was there already?
Chad McNeil,
Chad.
already on location, and
Okay, so
Melissa Parrish. They were already there
Chad.
before me.
And Melissa are both on scene. As
Because Cody Roberts was over at the 1029. Cody was already out at Survey, but he was at the 1029 because they was going to start that pumping unit.
He said he was already out in survey, just like generic ranch or at this site.
Well, no, not at this site. Survey Ranch is, the way we speak upon it, is consistent of those 7 sites out in Survey. And the 1029, if you enter the gate from the south, which I'm sure you guys did when you went out there, because that's the only entrance that they are supposed to allow us to go through. As you go up, instead of curving back to go to the 319, you continue to go straight. And there's like a little riverbed right there that you cross over and go back into, and that's where the pumping unit is.
okay. All right, so you get on scene. Chad and Melissa are already there.
Yes, sir.
And Chris.
Yes.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Do you see what Chad and Melissa are doing
They were just over there by the bypass line.
over here?
Yes.
Over here.
Yeah, over there by the bypass line.
Okay, were all three of them
They were
over here?
Confirming that. Yes. Whenever
Okay.
I pulled up on location, all 3 of them were over there.
Okay. Anything seem unusual?
No.
Just out of the
No.
ordinary?
No. Well, as soon as I pulled up, and I talked to Chad McNeil about this because he remembered me making a comment that I didn't even remember. As soon as I walked out on location, I got out of my truck, and Chris is usually fairly decently dressed man. He's always got on pretty tight fitting FRs, like really, like he wears area out pants.
What's FR?
Fire resistant.
Fire resistant clothing. He usually wears that. He was wearing a blue shirt that was baggy, looked like he'd had like an older shirt for him.
So it wasn't a fire resistant shirt?
It was.
It was,
It
okay.
was a fire resistant shirt, but different companies make different styles of t-shirts. And this is not something that, I was used to seeing him in. It was kind of a baggy t-shirt.
Okay.
And then he had a pair of pull-on boots. And from every time that I can remember out in the field, he had an old pair of boots that he was lace-ups that the toe was about to come off of. And then here about 3 weeks ago, he bought a brand new pair of Red Wing boots down at the FR store
Okay.
here in Platteville, and he always wore those. So when I seen him, on those, I was like, "What, you slumming it today, bud?" And he laughed, and that was it. That was all it was. But I didn't notice that it was, out of the ordinary. I just figured, okay, well, if he didn't get a lot of sleep last night and he was in a rush, he just grabbed what he had and went out to location.
Okay.
But I think it was a pair of Red Wing pull-up boots, because I think the only style of boots he wears is Red Wing.
Okay.
What color was the shirt?
It was blue, a very dark blue, like a navy blue.
Okay. And that shirt was different than the shirts that he usually wore.
Yes, well, usually he wears I believe it, yeah, it's Ariat that makes most of ours that come from down there. They're a little bit better looking.
What's the company name again?
Ariat,
How do you spell that?
I have no idea.
Is that the shirt you were wearing when we first
Yeah.
spoke to you? Okay.
Yeah, those style of t-shirts.
Okay.
is
So
what
that's
we-
the more
or
form-fitting shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, they fit a little bit closer and stuff like that, but this other shirt he had, because like you guys had said the last time, he's lost a lot of weight here in like the last 6 months to a year. So I think it was one of his old shirts that he had, you know, in his closet. Because I even have some old shirts like that that are baggy as heck.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So he's wearing his old boots.
I would say they're
Older.
I would say they're older because they're not his new ones. And I've only seen him that I've noticed wear lace-ups. And these were
And these are
slip-ons.
slip-ons.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the reason why drew my attention to him is it drives me nuts if anybody tucks their boots or their pants inside their boots and the boot deal's showing. That drives me insane. So he had it like half tucked. It was weird because one side was down and the other side was tucked into his boot.
Okay.
So it instantly drew my attention.
And that's unusual for him. Is,
Yeah,
is, he,
well,
is
yeah.
he generally,
He's
when you
generally
see him, okay,
clean cut.
let me see if I can make this one make sense. So generally when you see him in a work setting,
Yes.
he's at least dressed, he's put together. I
Yes,
guess,
he's
would that
dressed
be a way to,
appropriate, yes.
okay. And
I
not,
mean-
not sloppily.
No, he looks like, you know, a field coordinator looks.
Okay.
You know, because, you know, the higher up you go and everything like that, people pay more and more attention to your dress.
Sure.
So I always try to come to work looking as nice as I possibly can. I've only got what God gave me. So, but, you know, he was always nicely dressed.
Okay.
And that was just kind of threw me off, so I gave him shit about it, you know. I just made that comment, slumming it today, and that was it. I mean, that's as far as it went. Chad laughed, Melissa laughed. That was all.
What about his pants? What kind of pants was he wearing?
I believe those would have been, I think the manufacturer on this particular style pants is Bulwark,
Okay.
and he usually wears Ariat because they were a baggier pant
Okay.
than what I'm used to seeing him in.
Did you notice anything, you know, besides the bagginess, anything else about his clothing?
No, I mean, that was it. I knew he was wearing it had to have been an older shirt back from whenever, you know, he was bigger, and then the pants and the boots.
Did you notice if his shirt was dirtier than normal?
No, he looked
His
clean.
pants dirtier than normal?
No,
anything like that?
everything looked clean. There was no stains on his pants. There was no stains on his shirt.
Okay.
Nothing.
Did he seem out of
Tired.
sorts? Was he tired, sweaty,
No,
acting different, more quiet than usual? I know you said he's a
well,
quiet
yeah,
guy.
he's kind of a quiet guy, but you know, that particular day, you know, I try to joke around because I joke around with everybody. That's just the guy that I am in the group, and you know, he would kind of joke around a little bit and stuff like that, but that was it. He was, you know, quiet. Some days Chris is, you know, pretty talkative. You can have an interaction with him, and then other days he's more reserved and he really doesn't, you know, engage with you whenever you do that, because we joke about things. We both watched a lot of the same movies, you know, and stuff like that. So we say stupid movie lines, and he
Okay.
just wouldn't, you know, wasn't replying like he normally would. But I didn't think it was out of sorts at the time because of the fact that, you know, okay, well maybe he woke up late, he's tired. I don't know, you know.
Okay. So you guys show up there, you mess with the back pressure line. Did you get it fixed at that point? Or
We
is
did
it-
not get it fixed, sir.
Okay,
That line is still currently, as far as I know, locked out, tagged out.
okay. So how long are you guys on scene to try to fix that?
Well, since they'd already diagnosed the problem, we wasn't there a very short period, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm guessing,
Okay,
that I was there.
okay.
Because
So,
they had already been there before me and diagnosed that it was leaking.
so once it's diagnosed that it was leaking, you guys figure out that you can't fix it right at the moment.
Right.
You guys move on?
Yeah, well, we have to move on. As long as it's locked and tagged out and that line wasn't going to interfere, they wanted us to open up that top field because that location is a Thames location, which is, the Thames is what helps with emissions. So we don't emit any gas out of the top of
Sure.
the V-patch or anything. So they wanted that line open, and that's the only reason why it was open. Because Cody didn't even open that line until last week. So we went ahead and closed it, locked and tagged it out. The well was still able to run because it's almost, it was almost a load out there. I think Cody said it had about 9 foot in it. Makes about 2 inches a day. He said by Thursday or Friday that tank should be ready to haul. So that's what we did. We left it running.
Okay. So, and just so I'm clear, everybody left when you guys left.
Yeah, they left, and then.
And did you guys return to the 319 at all?
No, sir.
That day?
I didn't return to the 319 that day. I went back over to the 1029.
Okay.
The 1029 pumping unit is where we were.
Everybody.
Yeah, well, Melissa, Cody was over there because Cody was already at the 1019 prior.
Okay.
And then Chris pulled
I'm sorry,
up,
is
and
it-
then I pulled up behind him.
1019 or 1029?
1029.
Okay.
1029.
I'll make sure we're talking about the right one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's right.
319 to 1029.
Yes, I know.
1129's,
Yeah, there's so
Okay.
many different well names, man.
Yeah. Okay, so let me do that one again. So everybody left,
Yes.
and then everybody went over to the 1029.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
1029.
Okay.
But him
Along
and
with
I were
Cody.
the last ones on the 319 location.
Okay.
Because I was standing over by that valve that we locked and tagged out,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris was over by his pickup. Melissa and Chad got in their trucks, and they drove off and said, "We'll see you guys at the 1029." I said, "Okay." So I grabbed his shovel, walked it over to his pickup, and he said, "No, there's still staining on that ground, so we need to cover that up." So he covered it up. We got in the truck. I told him I closed the gate. He left, and then I left.
What's the point of covering it up? Just 'cause I'm
Up
curious.
well, if a state inspector comes out and they find like a puddle of oil right there, then that would be a fine instantly.
Okay.
But if there's this staining on the ground, then you have a chance to investigate what happened. So we're still gonna get the line fixed, but until the line was fixed, they wanted the line covered up.
Gotcha. Just curious.
No, that's fine.
All right. So you guys leave, go to the 1029.
Yes, sir.
And do you guys stay there for the rest of the day?
I was there for almost the rest of the day. I didn't leave until around 2 o'clock.
Okay. What about Chris?
Chris, I'm thinking it's about 11 o'clock to noon is whenever, because he kept getting phone calls from a lady that was at the house, ringing the doorbell and everything like that, and couldn't get a hold of Shanann. Because she tried to call her, I guess, several times that morning and said that she'd missed the doctor's appointment or whatever that she had.
Okay.
So he was worried. He told me that he was getting worried about it because nobody could reach her. So about 11 o'clock or so, he told us he was going home. But when Chad and McNeil and I talked, I mean, I don't know if this would be anything that you guys could look into further for any kind of evidence or anything, but he told us that he had to use the restroom on the 1029. So he told me it was number 2. So he told us, well, I said, just go over there by that tank at the 1029. So he backed his truck into the sunflowers at the 1029 and used the restroom.
Okay.
I mean, that's not out of the norm for us because we don't have porta
Right,
potties out
yeah.
there, but I mean, that is something that he did do on that location.
Okay. When did you and Chad kind of discuss things?
Well, I spoke with him again today.
Okay.
He's like, you want to make sure that you bring that up to those gentlemen in case it can help anything.
Right.
Because I talked to Chad and I talked to Luke and told him that I was going to be coming in today.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Chad's the other field coordinator, so I was keeping in the loop with him, and I called him because Luke didn't answer the first time. So I just wanted to call Luke to let him know that I was coming into the office today to do an interview with each other.
Okay.
Okay. Can we back up to the 319 for a second?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead.
When he was he looking around, just get kind of the surroundings at all? Did you
Well,
notice?
Okay. Whenever he got back, when we got ready to get back in our pickups and leave, he was messing on the phone, like texting or whatever. I don't know if he was texting the lady that was at the house or whatever the case may be. It didn't seem odd to me at the time because I thought he was walking toward the back of his pickup, and before we leave location, we're supposed to do a circle check, a 360 circle check. That means you walk all the way around your pickup to verify that there's nothing in your way so you don't hit it. So whenever I seen him walking, he walked just right past his truck, just a little bit, not very far, and looked out in the field like that, and then he walked right back, and that was it.
Did he do a full check or did he look at a specific point?
No, he didn't look at any specific point. It was like his eyes were just kind of up in the like looking toward the sky.
Okay.
He just had his head up and just kind of looked around like that, and then turned around and walked right back.
So was he looking out into the field, or was he looking back
he was
over the
looking out
pad
into the field.
to the south?
Yeah, that would be. I guess that would be the south. I get confused when I'm not
Yeah,
there.
basically
Okay.
towards 76.
So-
All right,
South
he's
is
parked
that
right
way?
here. Yeah, he walked right past his pickup, just a little ways, not like super far, but just right past his pickup. Because I thought he was doing a circle check, and then he looked out, just looked across the field real quick, and then he walked right back to his truck and got in.
So was he off the pad out here in the weeds?
Yeah, well, yeah, because way he parked his truck with his tailgate, his tailgate was right kind of by the weeds.
Right back here?
Yeah, right back here.
Okay. And he's looking off in this direction, is that?
Yeah, he was looking off in the, well, yeah, because he walked right past here, and he was looking back in here. I mean, it was just brief. It wasn't like he was staring or nothing like
Yeah.
that. He just walked back there, kind of glanced around, and then walked right back to his pickup.
Okay. But if you're doing a safety check, you should be looking
Yeah, if
here,
you're doing a
not
circle check,
here.
you should be walking right next to your pickup. You check your wheel wells and everything
Yeah.
to verify that there's nothing there or anything behind you when you go to back up, you know, that you're gonna hit, because we have a lot of operators hit fixed objects.
I'm sure.
So, yeah,
I would be one.
it's a big deal.
I'm
So,
sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything out here that would be of interest at all?
No, because I mean, the well pad for this site is just right here.
Okay.
This is just fenced off right out in here, because there is a fence around this whole entire location, and then the gate right there, and we're supposed to keep the gate closed because the landowner, or the gentleman that rents the ground, doesn't want his cattle inside this, you know, 'cause
Right.
it doesn't hit any valves or
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
like that. So, that's all there is right here, because the wellhead's here, your separator's here, your tank's here. That's the only thing that we mess with right there.
Okay. Fair enough. And then when you got to the site, I think you said he had a shovel and he was already digging.
Well, no, the shovel was already, whenever I got to the 319, they'd already dug it up.
Okay.
His shovel was standing right next to the freaking catwalk. So whenever I walked up, his shovel was right up here.
Okay.
And the hole had already been dug.
How big of
Right
a
there. That big around?
How deep?
8 inches,
Okay.
maybe 8, 9 inches. Because I don't think the lines are very deep underneath that berm. And then before they elbow and then come up, right there by the tanks. So you could see a little puddle right there of oil about that big around, and that's it.
Okay. Did Chad or Melissa have shovels out too?
No, not that I know of, because I think Chris had already done that. Because
Okay.
that was the only shovel that I seen that was out of the pickup on location.
Okay. Did Melissa or Chad have any other tools out?
No, everybody just carries their crescent wrench.
Okay.
So that's our thing. As soon as we get out of the truck as operators, 90% of our job will focus on a 12-inch crescent wrench.
Okay.
So I always carry that in my back pocket even when I hop out, because you know we use them to change or turn the wing valves on the wellhead, the inlet valves, the separator, the dump valves, everything. We use the 12-inch for everything.
Okay.
So if you jump out of your truck without the crescent wrench, it's kind of like you're useless.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I always give everybody, all the new guys heck whenever they jump out. I was like, you haven't been operating very long, have you? Because you forgot your crescent wrench. I was like, shit. So they'll go back and get it out of their pickup. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. And then, so Chris is getting phone calls and texts. Can't find Shanann.
Right.
And he says he's worried about her. And then he leaves at some point. Do you remember about when that was?
I would say between 11 and 12.
Okay.
Somewhere in that time frame window. I don't remember exactly. I know I wear a watch, but, you know, I didn't think anything was
Didn't
out
pay
of the
attention.
norm
Yeah.
at
Okay.
all. So
No.
I didn't, you know, attribute that to anything.
Yeah. And how far is it from the 1029 to the 319?
1029 to the 319. Like 5 minutes,
So it's pretty close.
10 minutes. Yeah, it's not that far away. I mean, you have to take that road, go out back out of the 319, then you head back toward that original gate. But as soon as you hit that intersection where you turn and go to the gate, you can turn right, and then you head up that hill just a little ways. And then, like I was telling you, that riverbed, and you cross the riverbed, and the 1029's right there.
Okay.
So all those wells are pretty short driving distance from each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And to your knowledge, he didn't go back to the 319.
No. But Chad and I were staying on location at the 1029 because we had to call, I think Steve Ergonati, and he shoots fluid levels for us because we had that pumping unit going for almost 2 hours and the stuffing box was heating up. And the polish rod, because there was no fluid, it wouldn't bring any fluid down hole. So I don't know if something's happened down hole with the pump, but the stuffing box is right on top of the wellhead, and as soon as that thing heats up, you have to keep spraying it or putting grease on it or anything like that to keep it cool, because as soon as you burn those rubbers, if any fluid does come up, then it would go all over the place.
Sure, yeah.
So we had to shut the unit down, change out the stuffing box rubbers, and then we gave Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well. It'll tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level.
Okay. All right, so you work on the 1029 for the rest of the day.
Yes, and about 2 o'clock I left. Chad was out there longer because he was talking to Steve.
Okay. And you left, and what'd you do after that?
I left and went straight back toward like Hudson and everything, so I could come back into the middle of the field. That way I could be there if anybody needed anything, because being a field coordinator, you have to wait until everybody leaves the field and everybody checks out to make sure everybody makes it home safe before you can leave the field. So then as soon as the last person checked out, I can give you the time on that too.
Yeah.
Spreadly bar. Okay, it's Thursday. Sorry, there's been a lot of activity in the group messages.
Yeah, I'm sure
No,
there
I
has.
get it, yeah.
There's Tuesday. Okay, this is what time I checked out. Headed out, Daniel Barr, and I checked out right there, right after Daniel Barr.
And what time was that?
So, I'm guessing that was about around
Little
3:56 p.m.
A little after 4, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe right at 4?
And Chris didn't send the message when he was leaving the field, so I put Chris's out as well.
Okay.
Everybody have a good evening.
Okay. Can you scroll up to the beginning of the day? I understand that.
Oh yeah,
usually,
that's fine, sir. No.
When you check into a site too, most people will use the group me to say, "Hey, I'm here," or "I'm over here."
Okay,
or
that's
whatever the case is.
Saturday, Sunday, because this is Victor Zambala. He worked the weekend.
Okay.
All right, and then Cody at 6:30 or 6:28 a.m. in the field.
Yeah.
But we're out in the field. I don't know. Luke saying that Alex is on PTO,
Okay.
so Tony or Robbie to please cover that route. And I got a O2 hit at 11:21 a.m. on my gas monitor.
Okay.
Because I was getting a pipe wrench out of my toolbox, and if you stand too close to that exhaust while your truck's running,
Oh, yeah.
it'll give you a hit. So the IOC called me 3
Thing's kind of
times.
sensitive.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
they had to call me 3 times because now anytime our monitors ding or we get a hit,
Yeah.
the IOC calls to verify that we're okay.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
Okay. Would it be unusual for people to not check in on group me?
no, not all the time.
Okay.
I mean, if you're out in the field, and as long as it's usually after 6:30 ish, Alex Ray, he'll always send a message whenever he's out in the field, and usually Alex gets out there real early, like 5:30. He's almost like my alarm because he sends a message whenever he gets out to the field. But he was off all the way from Monday till Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
And
What
that's
about-
on Luke's calendar down there if we need that. So.
Okay. What about for Chris? Does he usually check in?
No, usually he comes to the office.
Usually comes to the
Yeah,
office.
because usually we just see all each other out in the office because he usually carries a big red jug that he fills up with water every morning. It's about yay big, and he always gets water at the ice machine down there in the break room.
So for Monday, would it have been unusual for him to not stop at the office first?
Well, he told me on Friday that he was going out to the 319
Right.
to check out that leak.
Okay.
So we didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, but just overall, is
Just
that
so yeah, because he always comes to the office.
okay?
You know,
Always or
I would
most of the
say
time?
pretty much always.
Okay.
You know, he's there because that's where him and I meet because we're both field coordinators, and he'll talk to me about any issues that we're going to have out in the field that day or what we need to do.
Okay.
So we'll just go over that and then we'll head to whatever locations we need to. But I always meet him every morning down there in the break room.
Okay.
Do you know why he was so quick to jump on this 319
No,
to
sir.
go check it?
I don't.
I mean, because we're all the way back at Friday,
Right.
and he's talking about, hey, I'll go Monday and do it.
Right. No, and Cody's like, okay. You know, because Cody's the operator out there, so.
And why wasn't Cody fixing it?
Well, Cody found the stain, and Cody found that stain later on in the evening. I can see what time on Friday. Cody
Okay.
called me.
Yeah.
And he said he was gonna run back to a couple different locations and or back to at least one of the locations out there where he had some, oil gator. And that's just some stuff that we can mix in with the ground, any kind of oil that sets in there, and that'll help break that stuff down and everything and, remediate that stuff.
Okay.
Let's see.
Would it be typical for somebody to declare ahead days out, like before the weekend starts, that hey, I'm going to be doing this, or would that usually be something you do the
Well,
morning of?
Chris just said since he lived on 52, right off Highway 52, that it's a straight shot from him to leave his house, go straight to Hudson, and jump on 76,
Okay.
and go out there and verify it. And usually when we verify a line that's got a leak, we usually have more than one person out there.
Okay.
That way if we do send pressure to that line, one person could be here verifying, the other person could be at the separator sending the pressure. That way if there is a leak, we can hurry up and shut it off.
Okay.
That way we don't have excess contamination.
Right.
And
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whenever Cody Roberts called me the last time, because I called him and asked him how it was going, and then he called me again whenever I was in the parking lot on Friday of that week, was at 3:13 p.m. Whenever Cody Roberts called me and identified that there was a leak out at Survey Ranch, or at least at the time he suspected that there was a leak.
Okay.
And I told him, don't worry about it, dude. It's Friday, we'll double check it on Monday. We can go out there on Monday morning and verify. And that's whenever Chris said, I'll go out there on Monday morning.
Okay.
So,
Is he usually one to volunteer for something like that?
yeah, usually he is. I mean, he's really good about doing that stuff.
Let's go to Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday morning, tell me what you do.
Tuesday morning, I come into the office, meet with the group, talk about whatever we got to do that day. I know that we had training set up to go, because Luke sent out a message for training that we had to have at the Aquaterra State. So I went to the Aquaterra State.
First?
No, not first. I'm trying to pull it up for you.
Sure.
Okay, we're still on Monday. Let's go to Tuesday.
Do you have any contact with Chris on Monday evening?
Monday evening, the text messages I gave you.
Yeah, I think
I just sent him a
just asking
text.
how he was.
Okay.
Chris was pretty short, or just saying,
Yeah, none of his replies were very long.
no.
But, and then Luke sent out in the group me that morning at 6:31 that Chris would not be in that day.
6:31?
Yes, because I guess he called and talked to Chris Tuesday morning.
Who did?
Luke Apple.
Luke, okay.
Okay, they ordered an air compressor. Everyone meet me at the Aquaterra State, 1836 at 11:15 p.m. for some training. Bring your Mod 1 books if you have them, because we got to complete our Mod 1 before November for any APC blue badges.
What's a Mod 1?
A Mod 1 is a general knowledge of all your parts, moving parts, your separators, your pumping units, your ECDs, your gas compressors, your VRUs, your VRTs. So they want you to be able to go out to a location and walk them through every step on how that functions.
Okay.
So I tested out last year or the beginning of this year on it, and if you didn't get a 2 all the way around, then you would have to turn around and redo it. So the ones that I missed, we're going over some of that, and Luke had another meeting that day, so we were able, or he had to have a phone call at 1 o'clock. So we set on that location and we went over the air skids. So Aquaterra State's not anywhere.
All right, so Tuesday morning, you came here,
Yes,
got your burrito.
yes.
All right, and what do you do? Do you hang around the office, go check stuff?
Well, I hang around the office for a little bit and just talk to the guys, and then after that, I'm trying to remember honestly if it was Tuesday or what day it was. Victor Zambala was having trouble gauging the tank, so I went out with him because he's one of our new guys. He's having trouble color cutting, and that was at the Canon 6768. And
Where's
I
that
went
one at?
there, right off County Road 22.
So fairly close.
Yeah, County Road 22 and 31.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to remember whether or not Tuesday, because Tuesday you guys had me come back, I believe, to the office.
I think we spoke Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Came in?
Wednesday.
Okay. Well, okay, I got a call from an officer in Frederick, but that was at 2 o'clock or something like that. So, I know I either helped gauge tanks or something that morning, and I told them that we needed to head to training, so we headed out. Or did I go with Daniel Barr? I don't know. If you guys pull my car to sight, you guys can tell exactly where I was. I was either with Daniel Barr or Victor Zambala that day.
Okay, and then you go to the training.
Yeah, we go to the training.
What time was that?
Training. Well, that we had to be there by, like, 11:15, is that what I said?
Yeah, I think that was what you said.
Yeah, 11:15 for the Mod 1 training. So I show up at the Mod 1 training.
And where was that at?
The Aquaterra State.
Where's that at?
Aquaterra State is, I don't know what the intersecting county road is, but 47 and 4, and then you go east a quarter and south into.
Okay, how far is that from here?
It's on the other side of Hudson. So
Oh, it's a ways.
Yeah, it's on the other side. Like if you take 52 out, like you're going through Hudson, straight through Hudson, the first road right outside of Hudson, if you're heading to the east, is County Road 47. First dirt road that goes south. So you take that dirt road, go south all the way to County Road 4, and then from 4 over about a quarter of a mile, and then south into.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is that like a training center for you guys?
No, that's just a vertical that they wasted a lot of money on.
Okay.
Well, it's built closest to the HZ sites. It's the only site that we have in the field that has pneumatic air,
Okay.
where all the dumps and everything are run off air compressors. So that's the reason why he went there to train us, because he wanted to go over the air compressor portion of the training.
Okay. So how long does the training last?
Almost until 1 o'clock, because Luke had 15 minutes until he had to be on the phone whenever we were wrapping up.
Okay. So what do you do after you leave the training?
Okay, there from that point, you know, I've got everything here going through my head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because it's been since Monday since we've heard anything from Shanann.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, let me stop you there.
No, you're good.
So you said you got everything in your head. Tell me what that means.
Well, everything that's going on. I mean,
With
well, Chris took off
Okay.
work, you know, and I'm worried about his wife and his kids, because I've known his wife and his kids, you know. I've been over, hung out with Shanann, hung out with Bella, and everything. So I'm like, what's going on here? And he's been real short with me on text messages, you know. And there's been no news updates. I've been seeing, you know, stuff coming out that people are looking for him. Everybody's sharing it on Facebook. So I was like, well, if nothing else, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'll head back out toward that 319,
Okay.
and you know, see if I see anything out of the norm and stuff like that. And that's the same time that officer called me,
what prompts you to want to go to the 319?
because that was the first location we were at that morning.
Okay. Just cause or
Yeah,
something's tripping your
honestly.
suspicion here, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, because I seen him in the different clothes. Okay, I seen him in that, and then, you know, and he just was short with me that day.
Okay.
You know, he wasn't really like engaging in conversations and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, you know, 11 o'clock to noon, his wife's gone. You know, supposedly, and he, you know, he thought that she went to a friend's house or whatever. I'm like, this is, you know, even in my head, it's not adding up.
So you've been thinking about this quite a bit as
Well, I love
Monday
my
went
guys
along
I work
and-
with. They're all like my brothers.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. You know, you can ask my whole group. I would do anything in the world for them, you know. I'd be there for them. They can talk to me about anything, you know, and everything. And I was like, man, this is just so weird, because they're such a picture-perfect couple. And then all of a sudden, she's just gone, you know. And that didn't make any sense to me, because by then we'd heard that the cell phone was there, the kids' medication was there, the purse was there at the house, everything. And Shanann and the girls were gone. That didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
Because Shanann lives on that phone, because that's what her business is that phone.
Right.
So I drove out to the 319, and as soon as I went through the gate was already open. There was a water truck driver on location,
Okay.
and from MPT, and I signed his JSA. So I parked out by the wellhead, and I didn't want to alert the guy that I was, you know, out there looking for anything odd and suspicious or anything like that. So
You know what time that was?
It was around 2 o'clock or so. I
Okay.
arrived out there, and I talked to the gentleman and everything like that, and told him, I was like, well, I think, you know, I might have forgot a crescent wrench or whatever, because I didn't want to tell him, because I didn't know if I should look around the field or what I should do. So that's what I told him.
Okay.
You know, and then I signed his JSA, and I turned around and looked at the clock, and it's like, it's so freaking late that by the time I get out of Survey Ranch and back to, you know, the area around like County Road 22 and, you know, 37, kind of like a baseline, if somebody needs me, then I'm going to be way too far away. So I went ahead and just got back in my truck after I signed his JSA and left location,
Okay. Why did you sign that?
because I'm supposed to.
Okay.
What is
I
it?
have
What
to
is
sign that
what is a
JSA.
JSA?
Job site analysis.
Okay.
So these contractors that work for us, that they pull up on a location, they pull a tank, which he pulled the open top water pit, is what he pulled. That's what he was hooked up to.
So this water truck driver, do you know who that is?
No, sir, I don't know his name,
Okay.
but I did sign his JSA.
Okay.
Did
Is
you
that
go,
what this is?
I signed electronically. He just handed it to me and said, sign this. Because it's his JSA. So you're supposed to go through the steps in order to pull procedures. Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So this thing here has a list of all these questions and who filled all this out?
He would've.
He did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is something he fills out every time he goes
You're
on
supposed
site?
to, every time you go, well, not every time you go on a site, but if you're pouring a load of water, you know, like if they're just driving up on a site, they don't have to fill one out, but if you're doing any kind of work that's outside the realm of normal activity, but for them, that's their job, so they're required to fill out a JSA for Anadarko.
Okay.
So they have to fill out the JSA, they have to go through their job steps and everything. When we pulled up, he had his vent line and everything in the right direction, you know, he had it vented away from his truck, you know, and the wind wasn't blowing toward his pickup or nothing like that.
Where is he parked when you get here?
He is parked, okay, your water pit's right here.
Yep.
He is parked right here.
Is that a normal place for him to park?
Yeah, that's a normal place, I would say, for him to park, so he can, because I believe you have to go over the top to pull these open top pits. So he would just put his load line inside that pit right there and then pull out the sludge.
Okay.
And he was hauling this load to the OPF.
Where?
The OPF, the oil polishing facility,
Okay. Where's that at?
that's on County Road 49.
Okay. Where do you park when you pull up on Tuesday?
When I pull up on Tuesday, I went right by him, right over here, and I pulled up right about here on the location.
Okay.
And then he walked over from his pickup before I ever even got out of my truck, and he was right here. And I've signed the JSA right there.
Okay. Did he ask you what you were doing?
Yeah, and I told him I was looking for a crescent wrench.
Okay. But that was bullshit.
Well, I didn't, just because things have been so out of sorts, I wanted to, you know, to go out here to see if I seen anything, because I've spoken to the officer too.
Okay. When you remember what the officer's name that you spoke to?
I got a voicemail. And I spoke to him at like 2:04. But, you know, things in my head weren't adding up correctly, in my eyes. So, I do have a voicemail from him. Tuesday, Hudson, Colorado. Okay, here's the voicemail then. I didn't delete it.
At what time?
He called me earlier when we were training.
For Troy McCoy, this is Officer Walgie with the Frederick Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a
Can
call
you replay
back.
that part again? Can you replay that first part again?
Officer
303.
Walgie.
Hello, this message is for Troy McCoy. This is Officer Walgie with the Frederick Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a call back on my cell. It's 303-500-4073. Again, that's 303-500-4073. I was calling you with regard to, we're working on trying to find a missing person. And I was going to ask you, Christopher Watts, I believe that you work with him, gave your name as someone that he was going to meet yesterday in the early morning, possibly would meet, or that you work out at a site where he was going to be working. So, anyway, he gave your name. I was just wanting to talk to you. A couple questions with regard to Chris, and that would be it. So, if you can give me a call, again, Officer Walgie, W-A-L-J-E of the Frederick Police Department. If you feel more comfortable,
Yeah, really.
you can certainly call the police department. I'm currently there, currently here, I should say, and I can talk to you at the office if you feel more comfortable calling that number. But again, my cell is 303-500-4073 in case I have to leave. Thank you. Good night.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Did you know that the water guy was going to be out there?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, the water guy was out there. Well, Cody Roberts told me that he was going to have the load bottomed out at Survey. And then he also told me that the load line was leaking on the tank.
Okay.
Because that load line is leaking on the tank that was almost full.
That
out
was
there.
on Tuesday, or was that another day? Just like that?
I think it was on Tuesday. And he called me and told me that they were going to have that pit bottomed out. And I think the water truck told me that he got like 15 or 20 barrels of oil out of there, or not oil, but water, and then he pulled the rest of the oil and stuff, BS&W that was on top of the tank.
Okay. So is it normal for you to sign this? If you show up on site, when they're on site, they
Yes,
want you
you
to
have
sign
to
that?
sign that.
You have to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So So you pull up around here,
Yeah.
park approximately here.
Yeah,
He comes over before you're even out of your car. Or
yeah,
out of
before I
your
even
truck.
get out of my pickup.
Okay. Do you ever get out of your pickup?
Yes.
Okay. Do you walk around, take a
No,
look?
I mean, whenever I get out of the pickup to talk to him,
Okay.
because he's walking, he's walking up and he's right here by my truck, so I get out, and everything and talk with him. And then he told me, that he's here to pull a load and everything like that, and I need to sign his JSA, and the screen is scratched to hell on that JSA.
Sure it is.
You couldn't read nothing if you wanted to, so I input my name, and then I asked him, I said, where do I sign, sir? So I handed it back to him, he handed it back to me after he got me to the screen where I needed to sign, and then I signed my name.
Okay. All right. Then, so does he leave? Or I'm sorry, go back to his truck?
Yes, sir, he
Okay.
went back to his truck, and then
What do you do?
I get back in my truck, because then I looked at the clock, and it's already freaking like 2:04 around that time period, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back in my truck, and I just leave location.
Okay. So you were there for what, 5-10 minutes at
I
most?
wasn't there, no, sir, I wasn't there very long at all.
Okay.
And that gentleman told me that if he found my crescent wrench, that he would lay it up on, the battery or the tank or the separator for me,
Okay.
so.
All right. Did you have a chance to look out in this direction at all?
No, sir, I didn't.
He was just on you that quick.
Yeah, he was just right there next to me, so.
Okay.
I was like, okay, and that's good too, because they're supposed to be able to approach people. As soon as they see somebody pull up on location, they will approach you.
Okay.
They're supposed to, that's what they're supposed to do. So I wasn't shocked to see him or nothing like that, but he was
Yeah.
just right there at the pickup, so I signed the JSA and, because in my heart of hearts, I didn't wanna believe that Chris had done anything. I've been his friend for 2.5 years, but with Shanann not getting back to anybody, even like calling her parents and just being like, hey, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm safe and sound. Bella and the kids are with me. We're good. I was like, that was the location that he was at that morning. So that's why I went out there.
Okay.
Because, everybody's looking for clues and tips, anything that can help, and I honestly just want to help.
And
I really do.
something's needling you about this.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, I didn't say it in our first interview, but the clothes. The clothes, it was just different to me. And then whenever I told you about how he walked by the back of his truck, it was odd. And then now all of a sudden I find out, the next day that his girls are gone and there's a missing persons report and everything for him, and nobody's heard nothing from him. I'm a father. If my wife was gone and everything like that, I'd be freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's just like, hey guys, I gotta go. It wasn't like necessarily like a panic whenever he took
There's
off
no
that day.
urgency to it.
But he's like, hey, I just gotta go, and that's all he said, because he rolled down his window when he pulled up to Chad McNeil's pickup that day, and he's like, hey, guys, I gotta go, something's not right at home, and then he drove off.
How did he drive?
And he just pulled away normal. It wasn't like he was in a fire rush, If I had my friends calling me and telling me, or my wife's friends, that my wife was missing and my 4 kids weren't at home, I'd be freaking out, honestly.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Why did you park there?
Because that's where I seen him parked.
Okay. And when the oil and water guy approached you, why didn't you just keep looking around like you originally said?
After he approached me and everything, because I was looking at the clock, because I need to be off somewhere close to the time frame, like 2:30ish and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I can actually get home, because I live in Greeley, and from Greeley to Surrey is a heck of a long drive. And my
Yeah,
wife
it is.
babysits and everything else, so I want to get home whenever it's close to time, because I'm not trying to milk the clock, get any extra overtime or anything like that.
Right.
So after he approached me, we talked for, just a couple minutes and everything like that. He told me that if he found my crescent wrench, that he'd put in the tank battery for me, and that was it. I got right back in my pickup. I drove around slowly to the location, drove around the edge of the location right here. I just drove around right here,
Okay.
and then just went ahead and took off.
Okay. Why didn't you tell him the truth?
Because I didn't want to tell him that I was searching for any kind of suspicious things on location.
What would have been wrong with that, though, if you had just said that?
Well, I know, but I mean, at the time, whenever I was approached, that's what I said, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not here to lie to you guys, I'm upfront and honest about it. Obviously, you guys knew I was there, and I've got no problem telling you exactly why I was on location.
Yeah.
So,
Did you talk to your wife about this on Monday when you got home?
well, yeah, because Shanann and Juanita, do the Thrive thing. Because Juanita's a promoter as well, but she's never even hit her 4K on that. And it just doesn't feel right. You know, for those girls just to disappear and Shanann to disappear, and she's such a public person and everything like that. So the wife was worried about them. She wanted to make sure that they were going to be okay as well.
What was your conversation about? Tell me, not necessarily about, tell me what was your conversation like? Were you guys, convinced something had happened or just a little bit concerned?
Well, we were concerned because, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities if they were having issues, and she wanted to leave, if that was the case, for her to take the girls, because I figured she would, and go ahead and go off to a friend's house, because he told me that he thought Shanann had went to a friend's house that morning. So
Chris told you that?
Yeah, it wasn't nothing out of the norm, like she goes over to friend's house and stuff all the time. But that's what I told my wife. I was like, well, I don't know if she took off, went to a friend's house, whatever the case. And then later on in the day, we found out that the cell phone was still there, and everything, the purse, all that kind of stuff. And then it just didn't start adding up. You never want to think that one of your coworkers would be capable of doing something like that to a person, anything. And then.
So at what point do you start to think that Chris has done something?
Well, the only part I start to think would be Wednesday, because I drove out to location. I wasn't out there very long on Tuesday. Didn't see anything out of the norm while I was there, but I really didn't look around. I just got back in my pickup and drove off. And then Wednesday, I didn't text him at all. Nothing. I didn't, try to check on him, anything. And then, then Wednesday would be the day that you guys called me, roughly around 10 o'clock
Just
or
something
so.
like that, I think it was.
And then I come back to the office and have a talk with you, gentlemen.
Were you out at this location ever again after Tuesday?
No, sir, I wasn't. Never again.
Okay.
Do you know who else has been out at that location since
Cody
say?
Roberts was out at that location on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
He had to do something out there. I think Cody Roberts was out there though.
Do you remember about
Yeah.
what time?
No, sir, I don't. That's just from Cody talking to me. And
Okay.
telling me that he was out on location.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Melissa or Chad or anybody like that? Did they ever go back to 319?
Well, I think Melissa would have been back out there because Melissa's been chatting with Cody.
Okay.
Because Cody starts automation cross-training next week.
Okay.
So that's the whole reason why Melissa was out there anyway.
Right.
Because she's not the normal operator. She's just a trainee that just got signed off on her SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're feeling comfortable enough to letting her run a route and see how she does.
Okay.
So that just happened to be the particular route which she drew.
Okay. Would there be any reason for anybody to drive out here in the weeds? Out in
No,
the
sir.
grass
There'd be
or
no
anything?
reason at all for anybody to do that.
Is that permitted? You guys get fussy for that?
No, yeah. You, like whenever you're out of Soybean Ranch, if you read that sign, it's posted by that gate.
Oh, yeah, it's got the
you
rules
stay
on
on
it.
the ranch road.
That's right.
You don't want to be caught outside of those ranch, on the leash roads that are out there, because you will get your butt ripped.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our landowners that we have are like that.
Yeah, sure.
Even Mr. Batting is that way.
Anything else that we haven't talked about regarding any of this stuff that you can think of that we need to cover? Even if you think it's not related or it's frivolous or anything else you can think of, suspicions, just rumors, anything else you can think of.
Right. Well, I'm trying to go through my head on everything that I could have said to him that day. I mean, with all this stuff that's going on, sometimes it's hard to remember. But I do, another thing, that morning, he told me they were having issues and everything like that, but...
This is Monday morning?
Yes. Yeah, he said, yeah, we're having some issues and everything. And, he's like, well, her wedding ring was laying on the counter. That's what he told me, that the wedding ring was on the counter. And I was like, why would she leave her wedding ring on the counter? He's like, well, I guess that she's just through with me. I don't know. But he sounded hopeful that they could work things out. So that didn't, necessarily bother me at all. He just told me that the wedding ring was laying on the counter.
Counter where, do you say?
No, I don't know if it was a kitchen counter, sir, or their dining room table, because they're right there next to each other.
Okay. Did he say anything about, hey, this is going to be hard on the kids? Anything like that?
No, he never spoke of his girls.
Never did?
No.
Like-
Other than
like-
whenever
like
he
as a-
said that they didn't go to school or whatever at CC and Bella, because I don't know if they had like a daycare or something that they go to every day. But he said, yeah, she didn't take them to daycare and she didn't go to a doctor's appointment. That was it. That's all he ever spoke with the girls. But he just told me that him and Shanann had issues and everything, and that's why I figured why, because she didn't get in till late Monday morning or Sunday night, whenever she got in. And I figured that they just couldn't sleep, honestly, is the reason why he looked the way he looked. I never put things out of sorts, you know, or even would have thought about things being out of sorts until nobody heard from her.
Right.
You know, and she's not that type of person at all.
Does he generally talk about his girls on a day-to-day basis?
Here and there, if they get to go do something.
Okay.
You know, he loved playing with them and everything. Last pictures I seen anyway of the girls, other than whenever I seen them on Friday with him. They were happy, laughing, and everything when we met in Fort Lupton, and you know, like the trip that they took out to the beach in North Carolina. You know, he always posts stuff like that. You know, and you know, for the most part, if anybody asked him about his kids, he would just light up. You know, they were like the center of his world. You know, it's what it seemed like. You know, but now that we know what we know now, obviously that must have not been the case. Because any father that loves their children could never do something like that. So I'm just blown away with this, and I mean, I know me going out to location on Tuesday does not look good upon my part. And I told the guy I was looking for my wrench, but I had that sick feeling in my stomach. Okay, we haven't heard anything from her. If I can find anything out on that site where I could tell authorities, you know, something about it, that, you know, we could find out what happened, you know. I was praying to God that that wouldn't be true, because that's a guy I worked with for 2.5 years.
Right. He's your buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider him a friend, you know. We didn't hang out outside of work hardly at all. I went down to his house twice for Thrive parties, like I told you guys before, and then I met him at Fort Lupton because he asked me to try to put some programs on the Fire Stick for him, and I said, okay. That was the only reason why we met, and it was a brand new Fire Stick straight out of the box. And I handed it back to him on location that Monday morning. So.
Yeah.
Okay. No, and just understand that we had come across this information about you being on site on Tuesday.
Right.
And it, you know, it just one of these loose ends that we need to tie
and
up.
I understand
And,
that.
you
You
know,
know, that's why I said I had no problem to come down and talk to you.
Sure,
Joe.
no problem, and I appreciate that. You know, and I think you pretty well told me that you recognized that something was wrong, and you know, you put a few things together that's
It just
tripping
seemed
your
like something was
suspicion.
off. That's why one of the first things I brought up to you guys is, yeah, okay, we're at the 319. That was the site that I met him on. I got a map out in my truck. Anything I can do to help. I went and got you guys a map so you guys could take pictures of it or whatever. You called me and asked if we'd go out to Survey Ranch together. I said, yes, sir.
Yep.
You know, I didn't hesitate, and I drove straight from County Road 37 and 52, where I received your phone call, straight to Hudson and waited there for you until you guys arrived on location.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I wanted to help.
Yeah, no, and
I didn't know it was going to turn out this way.
No, and I appreciate it.
We
you know,
appreciate that.
But you know, and obviously you thought something was up because that wasn't adding up.
Yeah, I mean, I pay attention to a lot of things. I mean, I've got like ADD. You know, I notice stuff that's just different. You know, that a lot of people just kind of gloss over. But I've got so much that runs through my mind all the time. I don't remember everything. But then Chad and I started talking about the day that we were on that location, and that's whenever I remembered all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have a meeting with those gentlemen today. I'll tell them everything that I know, just to see if I can help out in any way, shape, or form. Because, I mean, I can't believe what happened.
Yeah.
That's absolutely terrible. And then to read on number 7 or something like that, the tanks were involved with that too. You know, possibly. I don't know if that's the truth or not. And I don't know if you guys can't say that's part of the investigation, but I was standing right there by those tanks, you know. And if I was that close to that blows my mind. It honestly does. I don't even know how to process this. You know, I was starting to feel better a little bit, talking to the counselor a little bit. I didn't talk to him one-on-one. We talked to him in the group, you know. And my buddy Tony Brown, he was bawling. You know, Chad McNeil was visibly upset. I'd been crying most of the night once I found out the news. And I don't know. I mean, anything I can do to help you guys, I'm more than willing to.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But I just don't know. This is absolutely horrible. I've never been a part of this in my life. I've never been in trouble in my life, you know. I don't have any experience with talking to officers or nothing.
Yeah, well, and understand, we're not accusing you of anything.
Right, yeah.
You know?
I mean, but I know it looks
We just,
terrible.
this
because
is one of
I'm
those
the
loose ends
closest
we
one
need
in
to
the
tie
group
up.
to him,
Yeah.
you know?
It's just
Yeah.
one of those loose ends we need to tie up.
No, I understand
Come back
that.
and I can say, yeah, he told us about, X, Y, and Z, and this is why he was there.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, because I
Yeah.
wanted to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, did Anadarko bring in a counselor for you guys?
They did. It was a gentleman. It was an older gentleman. I don't remember his name. And I've got the paperwork that he gave us for. We have like a counseling hotline that we can call if we need any help. And I believe he was here yesterday. Today's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he's here today as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we had our meeting yesterday morning, and he sat and talked to us for about an hour. And then our boss came in and talked to us, and he said, "I'm sorry that I wasn't able to, be able to say anything to you guys or anything about what had happened." Because it was Wednesday night, right, that it came across the news that he had confessed. Is that correct?
Yeah. that
Yeah,
seems
late
Okay.
Wednesday
Sorry,
night.
Yeah,
I think.
late Wednesday night,
My
because I was
day is
almost
just-
asleep, and then Tony Brown calls me, and he's bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
And I said, "This can't be true." And then we pulled it up, and we seen that it was true. And my wife cried unconsolably for an hour and a half. I was trying to calm her down. I mean, it's just been tough on everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't imagine the way that those families feel, because they've been absolutely ripped apart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then to find out that she was pregnant with a little boy.
Yeah.
They invited me to their gender reveal party, and then it got deleted. I didn't know who deleted it or nothing, but it just, no gender reveal party. Because I believe that was supposed to take place on the 16th.
Speaking of that,
So
do you
that
know
was
who
yesterday.
Nicole yeah, a second.
Other than seeing her on the news, sir, for the interview that she did.
Yeah.
That's the only
That's the only person, that's the only way you know who that is?
No.
Okay.
Well, the other person, that Nicholas, that you guys have got going,
Nicholas.
well, not you guys, but interviews that you guys have seen online. He's a bald gentleman, and in this interview on the news, he's sitting on a park bench with his wife right next to him. That was the gentleman I was telling you about that Chris would run with all the time.
Okay.
That he was running together trying to
Yeah.
get 5K.
Yeah,
and stuff.
okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we talked to him.
Okay. But no, I didn't know any of the other Thrive group outside of any of that.
Okay.
Because the Thrive party that we went to, we built a vision board, which I still have in my house, and my wife still has hers. Because you're supposed to put your goals and cut out pictures and all that, so we done that with them. We ate supper with them. But like I said, that was, like February-ish or something,
Yeah.
Because I just met Shanann for the first time at our Anadarko Christmas party.
This most recent one?
Yeah, the last year's Christmas party, and I don't know what date that was or anything, sir, but, because I text Chris and everything, because we've been working together, long enough, and he wanted to sit by my wife and I. So we hollered at them. I got to meet Shanann, and found out how bubbly her personality was and just how awesome she was. And then I guess she had lupus, and by taking Thrive, it was able to help her,
Yeah.
And so my wife is suffering from acid reflux and everything, and she said, well, that might help you. So I got my wife on Thrive, and she's been doing better ever since, And I thank Shanann for that, because Juanita had to take medications all the time that just weren't helping her, So,
Yeah. It's a terrible circumstance, no matter how you look at it.
it is bad. I mean, the only other situation that I've ever been close to that would even resemble this at all, which it doesn't, would be my dad's passing. And that's the closest I've been to anything like that. I've been pretty fortunate in my life not to have anybody I know ever have any serious trouble, or nothing like that, or anybody else that I know personally pass. All my friends are still alive, by the grace of God, thank God for that. But to have something like this happen for the guy that I spoke with every freaking day for 2.5 years, and then just to go like that. And like I said on Friday, when I met him, he seemed fine, man. He was laughing, smiling, he went to the console, and it might still be in the console of that vehicle, they had gum, like little bubble gum deal. It was white, and it was like tangerine. And he gave it to each one of his girls, and he asked me would I like a piece of gum, and I took a piece of gum from him. It's not off at all on Friday at all, just normal Chris. And I can't fathom what would have happened between that time frame for any of this to take place. I just can't. But,
Yeah.
I mean, anything y'all need from me,
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I'm more than willing to help, because I don't know what I can do at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, obviously seek counseling because this has affected you. I mean, it's affected pretty much everybody involved, us included. Just especially from being out at the site and the folks who, have gone through the recovery process. It's
I
a
asked
terrible
the gentleman,
circumstance.
once that it was confirmed that something was out on the site, whenever I got drove home yesterday, because they wouldn't let me drive my truck, because I was a
Yeah.
freaking wreck. And the gentleman that drove me home, I asked him, I said, is there any way that I can never have to go out to that area again? I can't stand being on that location, because I knew her. I knew those two little girls. They played with my girls. My girls loved them. I can't even watch the news, because if my daughters see CC and Bella on there, I don't want to have to tell them that they're in heaven now. You know? I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry I went out to location on Tuesday. But it just
No.
didn't sit right with me. It honestly
You don't have to
didn't.
apologize for
Don't
that.
worry.
I think that's a very astute observation, that you picked up on something's wrong. And just that you put together the totality of the circumstances. And I think you went out there just to even ease your mind a little bit to say,
Well, yeah.
this can't possibly be.
So when I talked to you guys on Wednesday, you know, before anything had came out, later on that evening, I told you I wanted to help you do whatever I could. You know, whether it was find the girls, if Shanann just went away or whatever she did with a friend, you know, or clear his name. Because I honestly thought at that time he was innocent. But I wanted to know in my heart of hearts, if I seen anything odd out there, that I could call an officer and have them investigate it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I was out there.
No, and I think that's a very reasonable explanation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is kind of for later down the road when,
Okay.
you know, like maybe as defense counsel finds something like this
Right.
and then wants to make some story up. We have to be able to say, no, that's stupid. This is what actually happened.
That's fine. I mean, whatever you guys need from me.
Okay.
Honestly.
Does the name Mark sound familiar? Did Chris ever talk about a Mark in California?
No, he's never mentioned a Mark to me.
Okay. Any name that started with an M? Mark name may not be the right name.
No.
Or anybody in
actually,
California, actually.
He's real reserved in the fact that, I mean, he'll let you in on a little bit of stuff.
Okay.
Like he told me his wife and him were having a little bit of issues.
Right.
You know, but he didn't say nothing about they were, you know, gonna get a divorce or anything like that. It was just issues. But no, when I talked to Chris, it was about fantasy football. You know, he's a big Steelers fan. And I used to be a Colts fan until Manning left, because I followed Peyton Manning around, so I don't really watch football much anymore. And I had the 5.0 Mustang I told you about. Well, he used to have a Mustang whenever he lived in North Carolina, and when he
Okay.
moved out here with Shanann, they sold it. But he had it all souped up and everything, and since he was a Ford mechanic, I talked to him about issues or questions that I had with my Mustang. And then my wife has she had a Ford Flex, one of the ugliest vehicles on the road.
Yeah.
And we kept having issues with that, because I bought it outright.
Yeah.
And that was my fault. I bought it from like one of those buy here, pay here places, but I was
yeah.
paying cash for it, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Had a hole in the gas tank. I drive it for
Nice.
2 weeks, and the transmission goes out.
Nice.
So that was like
Better.
$5,000.
Yeah, right.
So, no, I'd ask him questions about all that kind of stuff all the time. So, all of our conversations were mostly upbeat, you know, talking about sports, you know, stuff like that. And since I, you know, could sense just from, you know, him telling me that they were having issues, I never asked. That's not my business. You know, that's not my place. What goes on behind their closed doors, that's their business, you know. Because my wife and I almost went through a divorce 2 years ago, and I was the same way, you know, so I understood.
Yeah. Have you talked to Luke the last couple
Yes,
days?
sir. Yes,
How's he doing?
pretty rough.
I heard he was pretty twisted up.
Yeah, I spoke to him today, and just because I wanted to touch base with my supervisors and tell them that I was coming in today. And he said, okay, buddy, you know, if you need anything, he asked me did he needed to drive up, because he was at the office today. He brought his personal Suburban down because the gentlemen that weren't able to drive home, Victor Zavala and Daniel Barr, and I believe Melissa. Melissa didn't catch a ride with the gentleman yesterday, but Victor Zavala and Daniel Barr did. So Luke lives out in Wiggins. So he picked those guys up and brought them in his Suburban. And he asked me, did I need to ride down here, you know, to have an interview with you guys? And I said, no, it's okay. I said, have my wife and kids drive me down. That way I can go ahead and pick up my work truck, you know, and drive it back home. So,
Okay.
but yeah, he's pretty shaken.
Yeah.
You know, and Chad McNeil, he's pretty shaken as well. And then Tony Brown, he was just all sorts of tore up. I've never seen that man cry in my life, and he was just sobbing the whole entire time we were at the office, and we were talking, you know, about how to, you know, try to let things go and everything, you know, and move on to the future. This guy drew out like a little diagram on the board. I mean, he was just almost inconsolable, you know, and it's just tough because I'm looked to as leadership in the group. You know, we're right below Luke, you know, for answers and everything. So all those guys talk to me all the time, you know, and that's why I feel like they're all brothers. You know, I do anything for them, and you know, even Melissa's a sister, you know, even though she's new to the group, she's excellent. You know, she used to be an EMT and everything, so it's pretty cool having her part of the group.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, thanks for coming down and talking to us again.
oh, you're
thank
welcome,
you.
sir.
You know, if you think of anything, I gave you my card last time, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you did. I believe I still have both your
Okay.
cards. Let
Yeah,
me
if you-
verify that though.
Yep. If you think of anything, you know, give me a call or send me an email.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Philip Jones.
Yep.
And Greg.
Is that there?
Okay, I don't want to mess that up because
That's
I'm terrible at pronouncing.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I need
So
to
I've
look on
been
phonics
cold.
sometimes.
I've been cold a lot worse. So
Yeah. But make sure you talk this whole situation through with people just for your own mental health, because this is a terrible situation,
Yeah.
no matter how you slice it. So everybody's been affected by it that was close to him, family, coworkers,
Yeah.
neighbors, pretty much
You
everybody,
know,
the whole
I
community.
wish that I knew, but like I seen on Facebook, they're raising a GoFundMe page
Okay.
to be able to, I think, get Shanann and the girls back out to North Carolina so they can be,
Yeah.
you know, laid to rest properly.
Oh, yeah.
And I called Luke and asked him if Anadarko would be willing to donate. And he went to some of the higher ups, you know, and all I gotta do is take a picture of that link and be able to send it to them. And I think they're gonna try to donate to be able to help out the
Well, that's
family
good.
to get them back home.
That's
Because
good.
all of us were blindsided by this.
Oh, yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
So, well, even from our point of view, Anadarko has been very nice to us.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
they've really gone above and beyond, and I think you're blessed to work for the company that you work for because they really have stepped up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been with them for 11 years, and you know, it just seems like we had a bad stretch of luck last year at Firestone.
Yeah, it should
That
happen.
was a horrible, horrible incident.
Yeah.
And then now, you know, it's already on the news that he worked for us.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know what that's going to do.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it, man.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Or, sorry, I called you. I was thinking about Luke.
I wish I was Luke, man.
Thanks.
That's a six-figure job right there.
That guy handles a lot of stuff.
Oh, I can't believe what he does. And then I found out he's leaving our group. You know, he's going to be a different area's foreman. And it sucks because we don't.